while his coworker is showing him questionable goon material. Our protagonist seems completely lost, and he realizes he just regressed back to his old life. See, in the previous life, a meteorite transformed Earth into a living nightmare. Monsters appeared everywhere, and society completely collapsed. Everyone awakened different ranked talents to survive this new world, but his enemies lured a powerful beast, and his brother died protecting him. Then those same enemies ambushed him at home and killed him too, all because he refused to hand over his upgrade crystals. And in the Chaos era, being weak is a sin, but now he's back on September 12, 2025, and everything is about to change. Lin Lu realizes he's been reborn exactly 3 years before the Universal Talent Awakening, with just hours to spare. And right on cue, his scumbag supervisor Wang Zichao shows up to fire him, exactly like the first time. Lin Lu remembers this moment perfectly because last time it ruined everything. See, in the future, this guy becomes an absolute monster who harvests organs and forces people into all kinds of evil. But for now, Lin Lu just walks away like nothing happened. The co-workers start mocking him immediately, calling him trash and a coward for not fighting back. Last time, Lin Lu beat up Wang Zichao and got arrested, missing the critical awakening period while everyone else leveled up. His brother Dong Sheng had to raise him as orphans, surviving by stealing just to get by. When his brother awakened an A-rank talent, he took Lin Lu into dungeons to level up. And that's when Lin Lu discovered his ability's true secret. He accidentally killed someone to save a woman, and that's when he realized the truth. His talent lets him kill people and steal their power, upgrading his own rank with every kill. But his brother refused to let him purposely kill anyone, and because of that mercy, they both ended up dead. This time, Lin Lu has a new philosophy. If being kind gets you killed, then serve justice with ruthlessness. He will use sinful people as fuel and ascend to the invincible throne. Then the system activates worldwide, and Lin Lu awakens his F-rank talent called Plunder while sitting on the toilet, because of course that's where it happens. Same garbage F-rank as before, with a 5-day cooldown and only stealing 1% of a target's power. But Lin Lu knows exactly where all the valuable dungeons are and how to power level this ability to SSS rank, and he already has his first target in mind. Wang Zichao just awakened an S-rank healing talent and is already bragging about his bright future. This guy's on the phone talking about using people as healing material, which is exactly as evil as it sounds, and Lin Lu is right behind him with murder in his eyes. Lin Lu grabs him by the collar and says, "Nice to see you again. You're going to be my first prey after rebirth." Wang Zichao's S-rank talent summons a special substitute form to protect him, but Lin Lu already anticipated this, and tells him it's way too late to heal now. As Wang Zichao falls, Lin Lu's talent activates and his F-rank jumps straight to E-rank. But it doesn't stop there. E-rank to D-rank, D-rank to C-rank, this man is getting absolutely drained. Lin Luo catches his breath and checks his new stats. His Plunder talent is now S-rank with a 1-day cooldown instead of 5, and it steals way more per kill. Time to see what his new power can really do, as he summons his own substitute. And out comes the Black Emperor, an absolute unit of a warrior in dark armor that looks straight out of a final boss fight. This thing has 200 strength, 5000 HP, and an ability called Forcefully Plunder that steals enemy attributes with every hit. Even compared to SS and SSS rank substitutes, the Black Emperor's 3 main attributes have already reached their limits. The only weakness is low wisdom and short action distance, but it's still the strongest S-rank close combat substitute in existence. Plus, the Black Emperor's Plunder ability synergizes perfectly with Lin Lu's talent, and it has 200 growth points that even SSS rank substitutes don't have. Lin Lu orders the Black Emperor to handle the corpse, because cleanup is important. This man who would become a demon in the future just died in a toilet and nobody will ever know. Lin Luo walks out confidently knowing that even if they trace it back to him, it'll take a month, and by then he'll be invincible. Outside, the whole world has awakened talents and even the quiet class group chat has exploded. Everyone's bragging about their ranks. C rank this, A rank that, and one guy named Lu Ming claims he awakened an S rank talent called Book of Wishes. Lin Lu remembers Lu Ming very well. This guy used his power to manipulate people and eventually joined an evil organization called Smiling Coffin. Time to plunder his talent and make Hang City a better place. Meanwhile, at the sketchy Tomato Hotel, target number 2 is enjoying his new powers. Lu Ming is sitting there with his substitute, a demonic figure called Lord of Wish, celebrating that someone finally called him father in the group chat. And then this creep asks his Lord of Wish to get him the class beauty Fang Mengchu's body and mind, which is absolutely disgusting. The demon just grants the wish like it's nothing, no questions asked. This guy is already planning his next summon because he can't miss his goddess, and the whole situation is giving major red flags. The texts show him manipulating this poor girl to come to his hotel room wearing specific clothes, and yeah, this dude needs to be stopped. Lu Ming is jumping around celebrating, thinking he can dominate the world with this power. That's when Lin Luo calls him, claiming he knows a secret about S-rank substitutes, and Lu Ming takes the bait immediately. Lu Ming thinks he can get Lin Lu's secret and his goddess in one day. Timing is just perfect. 5 minutes later, Lin Luo arrives at the door. Lu Ming opens up and immediately demands the secret because he has a date later, not realizing he just invited death into his room. Lin Luo leans in close like he's about to whisper something important, and summons the Black Emperor right behind this unsuspecting fool. Lu Ming's face when he realizes what's happening is absolutely priceless. The Black Emperor doesn't give him a chance to react, just starts absolutely demolishing him. This man is getting comboed into next week with no escape. Lu Ming collapses and Lin Luo's plunder ability activates, giving him a choice of what to steal. Since Lu Ming hasn't entered any dungeons yet, he has no skills worth taking, so Lin Luo decides to just take his entire talent. Plunder activates and Lin Luo successfully steals the S-rank Book of Wishes talent. This talent can switch between 3 wish modes, one for offense, one for defense, and one that multiplies luck by 10 times. Lin Luo is pretty satisfied. This is a solid ability with both offense and defense covered, plus luck for good measure. Time to summon his second substitute, and out comes the Lord of Wish, bowing to its new master. This substitute can grant any wish with no cooldown, and now it belongs to the man who will use evil to destroy evil. Lin Luo's revenge arc is officially underway. Now that Lin Luo has the Lord of Prayer at his command, he decides to test if this thing can actually communicate, and the Lord of Prayer answers, explaining that while it's a functional substitute, its role goes way beyond simple combat. Turns out simple wishes are cheap, but difficult ones have a higher cost, and if a wish is too impossible, this thing could permanently collapse. Lin Luo decides to test its intelligence by asking how to use its abilities most efficiently, and the answer is surprisingly smart. Here's the key insight: winning a lottery costs way less energy than creating a bottle of water from nothing, because one is possible and one breaks physics. And if you use wishes on people, the cost depends entirely on how strong their willpower is. Lin Luo asked the big question: what would it cost to free his brother Zhou Shangdong from prison? Bad news, that wish would drain all of the Lord of Prayer's energy and might only speed up the process rather than instant freedom. So wishes need to be logical to work well, which means the best play right now is gathering information on other S-rank powerhouses. Meanwhile, the Black Emperor finishes corpse cleanup duty, and that's when Lin Luo notices something strange on its chest. There's a clock embedded in the Black Emperor's armor, and it only has one hand, which is definitely suspicious. Lin Luo asks if substitute appearances are connected to their master's abilities, and the Lord of Prayer confirms its link to spiritual essence. But the Black Emperor doesn't have time powers, so maybe that clock is connected to Lin Luo's rebirth somehow. He decides to shelve that mystery for now and use the talent cooldown time to go explore some dungeons. Back in the hotel, remember that girl Lu Ming was manipulating? She's standing there regretting every life choice that brought her here. Lin Luo casually renews room 414 for another week, telling the staff his friend doesn't like being disturbed, which is one way to describe a corpse. Meanwhile, across the city, someone else is having a very bad day related to time travel. Meet Yu Taijie, a man in a suit who's very upset about why his time travel didn't go exactly as planned. His substitute, the Lord of Time, explains that during their journey back, some unknown entity stole part of her power and shifted their arrival point. Yu Taijie slams his fist in frustration because despite everything he sacrificed, something still went wrong. Here's his backstory: he awakened an SSS-level talent called time-space travel at the beginning of the Awakening era and became absolutely broken. But then he ran into the illogical clan in a space rift and got absolutely demolished by an opponent he couldn't beat. His only escape option was burning nearly all of the Lord of Time's energy to travel back to the past. He wanted to arrive a week before the Awakening, but ended up just hours after it. Plus, he lost the second-hand power with way too many complications. But wait, the Lord of Time can sense that missing power, and guess where it is? Hangzhou City, where our protagonist happens to be. Yu Taijie realizes someone forcibly took that power from them and asks if they should retrieve it, not knowing he's talking about Lin Luo. The Lord of Time advises caution since whoever took her power must be incredibly strong, but confirms it's at least a human and not some monster. So Yu Taijie's plan is to raid dungeons, find his former teammates, and gather enough strength before settling the score with that thief. Speaking of dungeons, a massive portal has appeared in the city and people are gathering around it like tourists at an attraction. Everyone's treating this like some kind of video game launch, taking photos for social media and asking about class changes. But nobody actually wants to go first, because even gamers know you wait for the strategy guide before attempting new content. That's when Lin Luo shows up and the crowd gets excited because finally someone's brave enough to be the guinea pig. People are praising his courage while also questioning why he's going solo when teams of 5 are recommended. Lin Luo walks toward the portal, remembering how he ran from this exact dungeon in his previous life like a coward. But this time he's going to crush it under his foot. Inside the dungeon, his body gets digitized as the system explains the rules. 3 deaths max, full recovery on exit, pick a class. The 6 basic professions appear: mage, archer, warrior, shield bearer, assassin, and priest. In his previous life he chose warrior, which was pretty average, but now with 2 S-level talents, he needs something that actually synergizes. Time to summon the Lord of Prayer and ask for professional career counseling. The Lord of Prayer recommends mage because at level 20 it can evolve into the hidden class, Prophet Mage, with Black Emperor covering the close combat weakness. Lin Lu acknowledges that S-level talents lead to hidden professions, but something about this recommendation feels like there's ulterior motives. He asks what happens if he chooses mage but uses plunder as his guiding path, and the answer is an unconventional melee mage, which sounds terrible. Lin Lu realizes his core talent is plunder and the Black Emperor's power and agility are maxed, meaning an assassin class makes way more sense. So he asks the real question, what hidden profession does assassin plus plunder unlock? The answer is rogue outlaw, which maximizes plunder's advantages, though the Lord of Prayer still insists prophet mage is more elegant. Lin Lu makes his decision, he's going assassin. He apologizes to the Lord of Prayer while selecting his class because sometimes you gotta follow your own build path. The system confirms his assassin class and starts generating his attribute panel with some pretty solid starting stats. Strength 9, Constitution 9, Agility 15, and Intelligence 12, not bad for a level 1 character. His skill loadout includes Shadow Hunt for backstabs, Phantom Slash for knockback, and Quick Reflexes for combat awareness. He also receives a starter weapon, a Novice Short Blade with +6 attack. Lin Lu grips the blade with a confident smirk because he knows this is just the beginning. When the system asks how many players, Lin Lu says 1, because when you have the Black Emperor who needs teammates. The dungeon is Goblin's Lair, and of course Lin Lu picks Nightmare difficulty because why would he play on easy mode? The system warns him that Nightmare is for levels 5 to 10 and he's only level 1, but he hits confirm anyway. And just like that, he's transported into a red cavern that looks exactly as ominous as you'd expect. Lin Lu walks confidently into the dungeon that made him run in his previous life. His first enemy appears, a red-eyed goblin at level 5 with 300 health, and a disturbing ability that activates around female adventurers. Lin Lu snaps his fingers because it's time to show this dungeon what he's really capable of. He activates the 100 Battles Wish and summons the Black Emperor, boosting his critical hit rate by 20%. The Black Emperor materializes in all its terrifying glory and Lin Lu gives the command to destroy everything. 770 points of critical damage in a single hit, and that goblin didn't even have time to react. 150 experience plus bonuses for being over-leveled, and the 100 battles effect doubles monster experience on top of that. The Black Emperor goes full stand rush mode, fists flying everywhere like it's auditioning for a certain shonen anime. 390 damage per hit, and these goblins are getting absolutely folded like lawn chairs. Bodies are dropping, experience is racking up, and Lin Lu is speedrunning this dungeon like a true gamer. Lin Lu watches the carnage with satisfaction, knowing this is just the warm-up for what's to come. Lin Lu decides to save the Black Emperor's Seize by Force ability since these goblins are too weak to waste it on. Time for some min-maxing because assassin weapons can be enhanced with poison and later agility converts directly to attack power. He dumps 16 points into agility, 4 into strength, and maxes out the swift skill by 10 levels because our boy knows his build. His agility is now absolutely cracked at 31 total, and swift reduces stamina consumption by 40% during combat. See, in his previous life, everyone learned the hard way that dungeons stretch for thousands of kilometers and stamina management is everything. And here's a pro tip. Dropped money automatically gets absorbed into the treasure chest after the boss dies, so no need to pick anything up. The Black Emperor continues its stand rush, absolutely demolishing everything in sight like a certain shonen anime reference. The monsters are scaling up with wolfskin goblins and frost goblins, but our protagonist has already hit level 7, so it doesn't matter. Lin Lu walks deeper into the dungeon, knowing that these minions are just the appetizer before the main course. And that smirk on his face tells you exactly what's coming next. The dungeon boss finally appears, and this massive red goblin has brought an entire army with him. And of course there are female NPCs being attacked by goblins because this manhwa went there and the vibes are extremely concerning. Lin Lu sizes up the enemy lineup, big goblins, goblin shamans, and blaze goblins, but they're all way behind the Black Emperor's power level. The big goblin charges forward looking absolutely menacing, but that's about to be a very short-lived confidence. Even though they're just NPCs, Lin Lu admits that seeing this kind of situation always pisses him off no matter how many times it happens. So he gives the command that every goblin in this room has been dreading. Destroy them all, Black Emperor. The Black Emperor goes absolutely ballistic with fists flying everywhere, and these goblins are about to learn what true fear looks like. The goblin shamans try to counter with green fire magic, thinking they actually stand a chance here. But Lin Lu and the Black Emperor charge straight through the flames like the magic is nothing more than a minor inconvenience. The impact creates a massive explosion that sends shockwaves through the entire boss room. Goblins are getting launched in every direction because the Black Emperor doesn't believe in holding back. Every swing of the Black Emperor's blade cuts through multiple enemies at once, and the body count is climbing fast. Lin Lu stands among the carnage and tells the boss it's just them now, inviting it to bring everything it's got. The Black Emperor and the Goblin Guardian face off in the most one-sided boss fight this dungeon has ever seen. The Black Emperor unleashes its signature barrage of punches and the boss gets absolutely folded like a lawn chair. Lin Lu walks past the defeated boss, declaring that it was too weak, but hey, only a dead goblin is a good goblin. The system confirms he's now level 9 with a battlefield of goblin corpses and golden experience particles everywhere. With the dungeon cleared, a massive golden vortex appears as the system generates his well-deserved treasure chest. But before opening it, our boy activates the good luck wish, because why settle for normal drops when you can have god tier loot? The results are absolutely insane. Nightmare level cleared in 5 minutes, with 0 damage taken and an SSS rank score of 1500 points. Here's how the scoring works. Battle damage and time set your base score, while player count and level difference determine your multipliers. The ranking tiers go from A rank at 90 points all the way up to the coveted SSS rank, which requires 500 or more. Normally, Nightmare difficulty would only give you a black iron chest, but the chest quality system goes all the way up to Immortal tier. Thanks to the luck blessing, Lin Lua managed to skip 8 sub-quality tiers and scored himself a golden chest, which is absolutely stacked. Time to crack this bad boy open and see what kind of loot the gacha gods have blessed him with. The drops include healing potions and some black iron equipment, which Lin Lua immediately dismisses as absolute garbage tier items. There's also a fireball spell, but it's silver grade and restricted to mages, so the quality is way too low for someone with his standards. But then the real prizes appear. 2 pieces of gold grade equipment, and somehow both of them are actually usable by his class. Lin Luo pulls up the stats on the Guardian's short blade because this is about to be a game changer. Gold grade epic with 60 attack, 5% crit rate, 10% crit damage, defense penetration. This thing is a genuine early game artifact with 40 more attack than a level 10 bronze knife, plus 3 extra attributes and bleed damage. Now let's see what the Guardian light armor is packing, because 2 gold items in 1 run is already ridiculous. The armor gives 25 physical defense, 23 magic defense, 200 health, damage reduction from sharp weapons, and 10% evasion. Lin Lua equips the armor immediately because health boost plus damage reduction equals not dying, which is always the optimal strategy. When the system asks for his character name, Lin Lu goes with Black Emperor because of course he names himself after his broken stand. And just like that, a global announcement goes out declaring Black Emperor as the world's first Nightmare level solo dungeon champion. Random players everywhere are losing their minds asking who Black Emperor is and whether they're handsome because priorities. Meanwhile, Yu Taijie is very confused because in his timeline this announcement was supposed to come late at night from someone named Grey Wolf. He asks the Lord of Time if his time travel could have changed history, but she insists that returning a soul to its previous body shouldn't affect the timeline. Yu Taijie considers 2 possibilities. Either this world's Black Emperor stole his power, or someone from the future took it and traveled back. But here's what doesn't make sense. His time travel power can't enhance physical strength. So how is this Black Emperor soloing Nightmare dungeons? Yu Taijie realizes they need to find this person immediately because if his growth rate exceeds theirs, it could become a serious problem. Back to our protagonist who's holding a 10-spin lottery ticket that took him 3 years to earn just 5 spins in his previous life. Time to summon the Lord of Prayer because when you have a wish-granting entity, might as well use it for gambling optimization. The Lord of Prayer appears looking absolutely delighted to serve, and honestly, this entity gives off major genie trying to upsell you vibes. Lin Lu asks for an analysis on cost-effective wishes, and the Lord of Prayer explains that this lottery is a precious reward from Nightmare dungeons only. The Fates Wheel can drop items in 9 different grades from F all the way up to SSS, and many of these items don't drop from dungeons at all. The possible rewards include longevity pills for lifespan, ascension crystals for talent level, and magic crystals among other game-breaking items. But here's the catch. The probability breakdown shows SSS grade has a 0.01% chance, while F grade trash is at 40%. The Lord of Prayer warns that even with 10 times luck and 10 draws, there's no guarantee of getting S grade or higher. Lin Lua asks about using the wish ability directly and learns that guaranteeing an SSS item would cost him 6 months of being asleep. Being silenced for that long would wreck his ability to steal talents, so he decides that wishing for S-rank items is the more reliable option. He asks about guaranteeing 2 S-rank or higher items, which costs 110 energy but still ensures at least 1 S-rank drop. The Lord of Prayer grants the wish with golden energy swirling everywhere because this is about to be one hell of a gacha pull. Lin Lu activates the lottery ticket and the energy burst is honestly giving main character moment energy. A brilliant flash of light fills the screen as the Fates Wheel begins to determine his rewards. The massive cosmic wheel appears and Lin Lu commands it to stop because he's not about to let RNG decide his destiny. The wheel lands on a glowing green crystal and the anticipation is absolutely killing us right now. 10 prizes revealed including multiple real crystals, bond crystals, a heart of energy, and the crown jewel and SS level extreme crystal. Lin Lua realizes he pulled bond crystals for stand range, limit crystals for energy cap, and rage crystals for power boost all in one session. The only downside is that just the limit crystal is SS rank while the rest are significantly weaker in their effects. Using the real crystals will let him inherit 4% of his dungeon stats into the real world, which is better than nothing. Lin Lu hands the bond crystals over to the Black Emperor and tells it to crush them immediately. The Black Emperor absorbs the crystals and its action range extends to 6 meters, which is a massive upgrade for combat. He still has the Heart of Energy and Extreme Crystals left to allocate, so now comes the important decision. Lin Luo wonders out loud who should get these two stand-use items, and the Lord of Prayer's ears definitely perked up at that. The Lord of Prayer very conveniently suggests using them on himself first so Lin Luo won't have to worry about his energy issues. Lin Luo agrees and hands them over while the Lord of Prayer thanks him for making such a wise decision with suspiciously perfect timing. The Lord of Prayer absorbs the crystals, boosting his energy to 190 out of 300 with a doubled recovery rate. Unfortunately, without more genuine crystals, Lin Luo can only bring 4% of his stats out and his equipped items stay in the dungeon. Lin Luo accepts that he can only take this one step at a time as his body begins digitizing for the exit. He emerges from the dungeon portal while other players around him are complaining about wasted resurrection chances and impossible difficulty. But Lin Luo knows that while everyone else is struggling, this is the perfect opportunity to develop quickly and outpace all competition. Next objective, the Sky Tower, to claim the world's first dungeon clear achievement because that place has infinite levels to conquer. The Tower of Ascension is where everyone wants to be right now, and the crowd outside is absolutely buzzing with recruitment chaos. Lin Luo hears someone mention the tower's already reached 8 levels, and his brain immediately locks onto the real prize. First clearance every 10 floors means another Fate roulette ticket. And then she walks up, and suddenly this manhwa has my full attention because this pink-haired beauty in a form-fitting blue dress. But Lin Luo hits her with the instant rejection because teams would only slow down his speedrun to broken. Into the tower he goes, and the first thing Lin Luo notices is that level 1 gives 4 experience points, which is pretty generous for newcomers. So he summons the Black Emperor and tells it to get to work. 20 seconds later, the first level is completely cleared, and the Black Emperor has earned 5 Fate fragments for that absolutely disrespectful speedrun. A global announcement goes out congratulating Black Emperor for setting a new record, and Lin Luo just casually strolls past a pile of defeated creatures like they're nothing. Level 2 introduces some wolf-like kobold monsters, and these guys look way more intimidating than those cute blobs from before. Lin Luo just tells the monsters to hurry up because he's really busy. And honestly, the confidence radiating off this man is unreasonable. The system announcements start rolling in one after another. Level 2 in 30 seconds, Level 3 in 40, Level 4 in 52, and the world is watching this massacre unfold. Bystanders outside are losing their minds because Black Emperor just hit Level 8 in 88 seconds, and someone asks who this absolute monster is. Lin Luo reaches Level 10 and gets a warning that once he enters, there's no leaving until he clears it or dies. He remembers that in his previous life, some guy named Trash Chipping was the first to solo Level 10. So now Lin Luo is planning to steal that achievement plus the 20th floor record. The Kobold Lord Alphen immediately charges in with a massive cleaver, and this boss is not here for the warm-up nonsense. Lin Luo checks the stats. Level 10, 5000 HP and 3 nasty skills, including one called Craze Cleave that boosts attack speed by 30%. The Kobold Lord activates Craze Cleave and starts swinging that massive blade like a blender, which is exactly as unpleasant as it sounds. Black Emperor intercepts the attack, and these two absolute units are about to throw down. The Black Emperor's menacing face locks onto its target, and you can feel the intensity through the screen. And then it's just fists flying everywhere as the Black Emperor unleashes its signature beatdown on the Kobold Lord. But the Kobold Lord isn't going down easy and explodes with raw power, pushing back against the assault. Lin Luo watches in shock as the Black Emperor actually gets pushed back, and he's thinking, wait, that actually hurt. The Kobold Lord enters fury mode because its HP dropped below 2000, and now it's dual-wielding with red energy surging everywhere. Black Emperor clashes directly with the enraged boss, and sparks are literally flying from the impact. The two powerhouses face off at point-blank range, and this is the kind of boss fight that makes you hold your breath. Black Emperor winds up and delivers a devastating punch straight to the Kobold Lord's face, and just like that, the boss collapses as Lin Luo stands over its defeated body with his hands in his pockets like it was nothing. Global announcement time. Black Emperor becomes the first player in the world to solo clear the 10th level, and the reward is another 10-spin lottery ticket. Outside the tower, players are absolutely losing it because Black Emperor made the global announcement again, and everyone's wondering who the speedrunner actually is. Meanwhile, in Country R, scientists are freaking out because the dungeon clears triggered some mechanism on a stone monument warning about a rat-level disaster approaching. A purple-haired woman with glasses wonders if it's possible to find the mysterious Black Emperor, because troubled times are clearly coming. Lin Luo summons the Lord of Prayer with his new lottery ticket, hoping that the wish blessing will help him pull something good from the fate wheel. The wheel stops and reveals 10 prizes, including multiple crystals of various grades, and the crown jewel is an S-grade space crystal. Lin Luo's eyes light up because the space crystal lets him bring items from the dungeon back to reality, which is absolutely game-changing. He also got a real crystal, which means the attributes he can bring to reality just jumped up to 7%. The magic crystals and life crystals go straight to the Black Emperor, because Lin Luo knows exactly who needs the power-ups. The Black Emperor's stats shoot up with 15 extra strength points, 4 more defense, and 180 bonus HP. Lin Luo checks his inventory and still has 2 lottery tickets plus 275 fate fragments left, but he decides to save them for now. Before pushing to the next milestone, he decides to sell his equipment because the earlier you list items, the higher the prices. Here's an important detail. In-game currency exchanges to real money at 1 copper to 5 or 6 yuan, and even basic equipment costs several hundred gold. Lin Lua lists a copper coin at 6 mana and prices his silver tier weapons at 2300, 2100, and 4000 gold respectively. The notification pops up instantly, everything sold for 8400 gold total, which is 5 million yuan in real money. Lin Lua facepalms so hard because he underestimated how desperate wealthy players are for early gear, and he should have listed everything separately for maximum profit. Well, farming equipment is easy anyway, so he shrugs it off and plans to climb to level 20 tonight while also grabbing another S-class talent when he leaves. And now Lin Lua reveals his hit list. The 3 most notorious guilds from the chaotic era were Smiling Coffin, Nasalic Grey Tomb, and Octopus Society. These guilds are led by some seriously dangerous people with S-level talents, including someone called Knife in the Rain and another named Bloody Witch. Lin Lua plans to hunt these criminals first, then head to the City of Sin where evil individuals who've committed unforgivable crimes against his people gather. As for the freelancers who killed him and his brother in his past life, they'll be dealt with after he handles the important matters, because revenge is definitely on the menu. Scene change to a villa somewhere in Southeast Asia where a scammer is complaining that anti-fraud awareness has made his job harder. But this scumbag has a new strategy: register a legitimate company, post real job offers, and everything looks completely above board. The plan is to recruit people normally, let them work for a while, then organize a team-building trip where they get kidnapped by surprise. He grins while announcing that another victim has taken the bait, and the boss is definitely going to praise him for this. Back to Lin Lua, who enters floor 11 and finds himself in a skeleton-filled dungeon with blue ghost fires flickering everywhere. The skeleton soldiers here are level 10 with 1000 HP each, plus they have a nasty tetanus strike that drains health over time. Lin Lua gets nostalgic because he used to farm this skeleton set with his brother in his previous life, but there's no time for feelings right now. He gives the command, attack and leave none alive. The Black Emperor goes absolutely ballistic on the skeleton horde, turning them into bone fragments with every strike. A level 17 skeleton commander shows up, and this one looks way more armored than the regular fodder. Lin Lu takes a hit and asks if this skeleton is looking down on him just because he's only level 13. He personally engages the skeleton commander, and the clash sends red energy exploding everywhere. Floor 11 cleared in 1 minute 35 seconds, earning 85 fate fragments for that clean sweep. With 3 years of combat experience from his past life, Lin Lu decides to push straight to floor 20 in one session. 8 minutes later, he hits floor 20, and the boss skeleton lord Thetamir appears with 15,000 HP and 2500 attack power. This boss has some serious skills: shadow summon to spawn an army, crushing greatsword for area damage, and 5% physical immunity. The skeleton lord raises its sword and commands its servants to awaken from hell and fight. An entire army of skeleton warriors rises from the ground, and this is looking less like a boss fight and more like a war. Lin Lu counts at least 200 skeleton warriors, and he realizes this floor's difficulty far exceeds anything from the previous 19. The skeleton cavalry charges in with a mounted skeleton horseman leading the assault. Black Emperor meets the charge head-on, smashing through skeletons left and right with devastating strikes. Skeletons are shattering into pieces as the Black Emperor tears through their ranks like paper. The Black Emperor winds up a massive punch aimed directly at the skeleton lord's skull, but the skeleton lord counters with a sweeping blade attack that forces the Black Emperor to dodge. While the Black Emperor deals with the boss, Lin Luo finds himself completely surrounded by skeleton soldiers. He realizes that even though he could win fighting like this, there's a high chance of getting injured, which would slow down his plans. So Lin Luo summons the Lord of Prayer and makes a wish. Black Emperor will critical hit on every single attack until the skeleton lord is completely defeated. Lin Luo commands the assault to continue until the dammer falls. The Lord of Prayer's eyes glow as golden energy swirls around him, confirming that the wish has been granted. Lin Lu is standing there wondering if he can really just wish for anything he wants with this power, and the Black Emperor responds by absolutely erupting with purple energy, ready to prove exactly what those wishes can do. The skeleton lord pauses mid-attack, genuinely confused about what's happening to him all of a sudden. Lin Lu tells his summon to fight to his heart's content, because Master can handle himself just fine. And our boy Black Emperor goes full JoJo mode, unleashing a barrage of attacks that would make Star Platinum proud. The skeleton lord tries to defend, but Black Emperor's blade is moving way too fast for that to matter. The skeleton lord roars about shattering invaders into pieces, still thinking he has any control over this fight. Lin Lua watches calmly, already knowing exactly how this is going to end for the poor skeleton boss. Energy projectiles rain down on the skeleton lord as Black Emperor shows no signs of letting up whatsoever. That last hit connects directly with the skeleton lord's skull, and you can practically hear the crack. Black Emperor doesn't even pause to admire his work, immediately following up with another devastating strike. Lin Lu grins because his theory was absolutely correct, and now it's time to see the real results. Black Emperor unleashes a combo so devastating that the damage numbers are stacking up at 580 each hit. Here's the beautiful part. Every single attack is landing as a critical hit, 100% success rate. The Skeleton Lord's health bar is practically empty now, and there's nothing he can do to stop it. Lin Luo joins the cleanup crew himself, slashing through the remaining skeletons while declaring this is how you properly use wishes. And just like that, Black Emperor lands the finishing blow, and the notification confirms Skeleton Lord Thetamir has been defeated. Floor 20 cleared in 3 minutes and 11 seconds. Lin Luo hits level 14, and he tells Black Emperor to stop because there's more to do. The global announcement goes out and people are absolutely losing their minds asking who could possibly solo floor 20 this fast. But Lin Luo isn't stopping there because floors 21 through 29 are all maze levels, and he's speedrunning through them. He's using his past life memory to take the shortest path possible through these labyrinth floors without wasting any time. Floor 29 cleared, level 15 reached, and now the real prize awaits on floor 30. The system warns him that his level is too low and recommends coming back another time, which is honestly hilarious. Lin Luo tells the system to kindly keep its suggestions to itself because he didn't come here to turn back now. And then the floor 30 boss makes his grand entrance. King Minotaur Minotauros, level 30, looking absolutely massive. Lin Luo is already thinking this boss is finally worth using his active skill Seize and Plunder on. The Minotaur King slams his hammer down with enough force to shake the entire arena in an explosion of golden energy. The boss laughs at their pathetic level 15 stats, asking if these foolish humans know what they're about to face. Lin Luo just casually strolls forward and asks if this entire palace is actually one massive trap, designed to catch overconfident players. The Minotaur King pauses, genuinely surprised that this human figured out the gimmick so quickly. Lin Luo doesn't waste time explaining and just commands Black Emperor to engage the boss immediately. The Minotaur King raises both arms to crush Black Emperor with an overhead strike that looks absolutely devastating. But Lin Luo knows from his past life that rushing through those maze floors was actually the smart play here. Because normally, all the monsters players avoided in the labyrinth would come reinforce the boss when summoned. Black Emperor narrowly dodges another massive swing from the Minotaur King's hammer, creating distance. The boss unleashes Crushing Heaven and Earth, an attack that wiped out countless players in Lin Luo's previous timeline. But our protagonist has already seen this movie before, and he has his own plan ready to execute. He summons the Lord of Prayer and orders him to keep wishing for Black Emperor to land critical hits on every single attack. The wish is granted, and Black Emperor immediately slams the Minotaur King for 450 damage with a guaranteed crit. And the hits just keep coming, 450 after 450, the Minotaur King's health bar melting at an alarming rate. The desperate boss calls for his warriors to heed his command and protect their king from this relentless assault. Lin Luo's eyes narrow because this is exactly what he was waiting for, and he commands Black Emperor to begin the real plan. Black Emperor activates Seize and Plunder, stealing Earth Shatter, Dance of Fury 1200 HP, and over 100 attack from the boss. The theft continues with King's command and 23 points of agility ripped straight from the Minotaur King. Lin Luo is absolutely giddy, because the feeling of robbing a boss blind is genuinely exhilarating as he rockets through levels 16, 17, and 18. And here comes the reinforcement wave. Minotaur warriors flooding through the entrance screaming for blood. Black Emperor looks genuinely confused about why his master seems excited about being surrounded by enemies. Lin Luo explains that monsters from other levels arriving is actually perfect timing for what he has planned next. He raises his fist and calls out for all his warriors to hear his command, using the skill he just stole. Golden energy swirls around Lin Luo as he prepares to test whether these acquired skills actually work for him. The Minotaur warriors' weapons drop to the ground as they completely lose the will to fight against him. Their eyes glow with golden light, indicating they're now under the effect of Lin Luo's stolen king's command. Lin Luo can't help but smirk because turning the boss's own army against him is just too satisfying. Every single Minotaur warrior drops to their knees and bows before Lin Luo like he's their new king. Meanwhile, in a completely different dungeon, another player with a similar ability commands monsters to kneel before him. The Mushroom King, a level 8 boss, stands before this guy named Hui Terang who has the SS level talent Emperor's Gaze. A suited man approaches Hui Terang, praising his reputation and revealing he wants help defeating the Black Emperor. Hui Terang is suspicious and demands to know who this stranger is and why he's immune to the Emperor's gaze pressure. The man introduces himself as Yu Taijie, someone who exists outside of time and can make Hui Terang even stronger. Hui Terang asks the obvious question, why did this mysterious time traveler specifically come looking for him? And they seal the deal with a handshake, which honestly has some pretty ominous vibes if you ask me. Yu Taijie explains he needs help because Hui Terang is the only person who can make monsters kneel with his power. Back at floor 30, the Minotaur warriors are bowing and greeting Lin Luo as their new majesty. Lin Luo grins wide and commands Black Emperor to finish what they started with the actual boss. Black Emperor powers up once more, ready to unleash the stolen skills on everything that remains standing. He unleashes earth-shattering in a devastating area attack that sends shockwaves through the entire throne room. Minotaurs go flying in every direction as the stolen skill proves even more effective in Black Emperor's hands. Lin Luo has to cover his face from all the dust and debris flying around from that absolutely ridiculous attack. The notifications stack up rapidly. Level 19, 2022, and floor 30 cleared in 16 minutes and 29 seconds. Another global announcement goes out and the crowd is absolutely stunned that Black Emperor just soloed floor 30 this early in the game. Lin Lua already knows what's next on his checklist. It's time to get himself a second job change and become even more broken. Meanwhile, outside the tower, Lin Lua decides to grab some dinner at a local noodle shop. He's thinking that his next goal is going to be way tougher than just being a warrior, so he needs to eat well and prepare. But his peaceful meal gets interrupted by some very familiar voices complaining about a useless priest dragging them down. And would you look at that, it's Lin Lua's lovely former colleagues from his old job, and they're up to their usual nonsense. These are the same people who spent their days gossiping about how Lin Lua's brother was a thief and how he was picked up from the trash. The woman being bullied is their team's healer, and she's absolutely stunning even while apologizing for her life. But the captain doesn't care about apologies and kicks her while screaming that she caused Jiaoji's death. Lin Lua takes note because that explains why there's one less person on their team now. Zhang Wei orders food and demands they bring the healer over to keep treating his injuries like nothing happened. The bald guy keeps kicking her while telling her to stop pretending to be dead, reminding her that things were different when the supervisor was around. He grabs her face and mockingly asks if she still thinks she's the supervisor, wondering where that protection is now. Lin Lua just keeps eating while watching this mess unfold, and honestly the vibes here are absolutely terrible. They drag her across the floor, declaring that she used to be the supervisor's lackey but now she's their lackey. Lin Lu reflects that in the past these people had close relationships, but times have changed, and so have the dynamics. Zhang Wei's team discusses needing new recruits since they still have to clear the second floor of the tower, while the healer does her job. And then Zhang Wei spots Lin Lu and strolls over with the most fake friendly smile you've ever seen. The healer looks up and recognizes Lin Luo too, and even all beaten up she's still absolutely gorgeous. Zhang Wei puts his arm around Lin Lu asking where he went after getting fired, acting like they're best friends. He pushes a plate of food toward Lin Luo, telling him to enjoy and not live so hard, which is rich coming from this guy. Then comes the real question. Did Lin Luo awaken any talents, and how can someone like him deserve a woman like Wen Yusi? Lin Luo remembers exactly what happened in his previous life. He got detained for 10 days for assaulting the supervisor after Zhang Wei contacted him. So this time Lin Luo plays it smart and lies, saying his talent is called plunder but it's only at F level. And just like that, the whole group bursts out mocking him for being a wild child raised by a thief with a theft-related F-level talent. Lin Luo turns to leave, flatly stating that he won't be teaming up with any of them. Zhang Wei absolutely loses it laughing, asking if this poor kid is still dreaming of becoming a big shot like the Black Emperor. But then the healer breaks free and chases after Lin Luo, desperately calling for him to wait. She latches onto him, begging him to save her, promising she'll do absolutely anything he wants. She grabs his hand and pleads for him to take her with him, looking absolutely desperate. Lin Luo pulls away and tells her she's got the wrong person because he genuinely can't help her. Zhang Wei storms over absolutely furious, calling her names and demanding to know who she thinks she's seducing. He grabs her by the hair and asks if she even considered whether Lin Lu has the ability to save her. The other guys chime in, mocking Lin Lu's family for being beggars living off the Wen family's charity. Zhang Wei keeps taunting while holding her, joking that maybe he should have stolen too so he could spark a romance with Wen Yusi. And that's when Lin Lu's expression changes completely as he warns them not to mention those 3 words. Zhang Wei smirks and asks which 3 words Lin Lu is referring to, clearly pushing his buttons. He gets right in Lin Lua's face, calling him a delusional toad trying to eat swan meat. Lin Lua's fists start glowing with power as he's clearly done playing nice with these people. Zhang Wei calls for his brothers to teach this little guy that times have changed and show him what the world of fists means. The goons crack their knuckles, bragging about how their dungeon-trained fists can be absolutely lethal. They charge at Lin Lu, threatening that if he doesn't want to die, he better kneel down and call them father. But Lin Lu simply dodges and delivers a devastating counterpunch that sends the bald guy flying. He follows up immediately by destroying the second attacker before he can even react properly. Lin Luo calmly explains that after living 2 lifetimes, he understands the world of fists way better than they ever will. Zhang Wei can't believe what he's seeing as both of his guys lie beaten on the floor, so he decides to handle this personally and reaches inside his jacket for something. Zhang Wei pulls out a knife and lunges at Lin Luo, screaming that he's looking for death. But Lin Luo casually catches the blade, disarms him, and proceeds to carve up his arm in retaliation. Lin Luo finishes the job with a devastating strike that sends Zhang Wei crashing through the restaurant. The remaining goons watch in horror as their captain gets absolutely destroyed. Lin Luo dusts off his hands and calls them a group of weaklings who are barely worth his time. The survivors start panicking and wondering what level talent Lin Luo actually awakened, because that was definitely not F level. And just like that, they drop to their knees begging Father Luo to let them join his team and do whatever dirty work he needs. Lin Luo tells them he already said he doesn't want to team up, but they clearly have donkey hair in their ears. Meanwhile, someone else has been watching this whole fight unfold from a nearby window with great interest. This is Bai Hongli, one of the 8 Hall Masters of the Baki Society and an S-level talent awakener, so definitely not someone to mess with. Lin Luo orders the goons to kneel properly and not get up until Zhang Wei wakes up, then walks out like a boss. The healer watches him leave and thinks to herself that this is exactly the kind of strong man she's been looking for. She chases after him, apologizing for being disrespectful at the company, claiming the supervisor forced her to do it. Lin Luo just sighs and tells her to let it go already. She gets even more desperate, promising to compensate him tenfold or even 100-fold if he takes her with him. Lin Luo pushes her away and tells her to please respect herself because this isn't happening. She watches him walk away, realizing this so-called waste has made a comeback and wondering if she can still work with him. The beaten goons mock her, saying she can't seduce anyone she wants because Lin Luo's heart belongs to Wen Yusi. She snaps back, demanding to know in what aspects she can't compare to Wen Yusi. They laugh and tell her she's not even worthy to carry Wen Yusi's shoes or hold a chamber pot. The woman threatens them to say one more word and see what happens. They point out that Lin Luo has already left and no one is protecting her anymore. But then they realize they can barely stand because Lin Luo beat them way too hard. The woman sees her opportunity for revenge and decides to take full advantage of the situation. She starts beating them while declaring that all the care they gave her is being returned right now. They try to fight back, but they're too weak, and she keeps pummeling them for everything they put her through. Bai Hongli watches this scene unfold and notes that this girl is also very beautiful. He decides to recruit her into the guild, since his brothers have been complaining about the lack of female players. Plus, she can get information about that strong guy from earlier so they can find his weakness and manipulate him. The woman stands victorious over the beaten goons, vowing that one day she'll have Lin Luo under her feet too. A guild representative approaches and asks if she's heard of the famous Baki Society Player Guild. She immediately perks up and says she'd be absolutely thrilled to join such a prestigious organization. She thinks smugly that this is the difference between a poor boy like Lin Luo and someone born to be noble. The representative welcomes her, saying from now on they're family, and she asks to be called Xiao Mei. He asks about the rude guy who just left, and Xiao Mei immediately plays victim, saying Lin Luo deceived her feelings. The representative offers that the guild might be able to help her get revenge if she knows any of his weaknesses. Without hesitation, she reveals that Lin Luo's weakness is a woman named Wen Yusi. Meanwhile, Lin Luo walks through the Sunset City completely unaware that he's just been sold out, and a hooded figure reports his location to someone on the phone, confirming they'll continue to keep an eye on him. Meanwhile, the hooded figure reports back that the Hall Master wants to recruit Xiao Mei, and his brothers are absolutely thrilled about it. But Lin Luo already noticed this guy tailing him, and he's wondering exactly who's bold enough to follow him so openly. The hooded figure receives orders to track Lin Luo and investigate a woman named Wen Yusi, because apparently Xiao Mei already spilled all the tea. So now our boy has a full-on tail from the Baki Society, and they're not even trying to be subtle about it. Lin Luo decides he wants to see exactly who's bold enough to be stalking him like this. He passes right by the hooded figure and realizes he has absolutely no memory of this person from his past life. The two of them walk past each other, but Lin Luo isn't about to let this slide. And that's when the hooded figure decides to make his move, dark energy swirling around him. He lunges at Lin Luo with a powerful attack, clearly underestimating who he's dealing with. But the assassin gets absolutely demolished and slammed into the ground before he can even land a hit. Lin Luo stands over him with Black Emperor at his back, calmly asking who sent this clown. The guy tries the classic excuse of just passing by, but Lin Luo calls out that he's been following him since the noodle shop and identifies him as Baki Society. Lin Luo realizes something's off because according to his past life memories, the Baki Society shouldn't be appearing this early. He gives the assassin one more chance to explain himself, but the guy keeps insisting he's got the wrong person. Lin Luo knows Baki Society assassins are famous for their stubbornness, so further interrogation would just be a waste of time. So he summons the Lord of Wishes and makes a simple request: make this guy confess everything about his surveillance mission. And just like that, the assassin spills everything. His name is Sun Lang. He works under Bai Hongli, and they captured a beautiful female player at the noodle shop. Turns out Qin Xiaomei disclosed everything about Lin Luo, and he was ordered to track him and investigate Wen Yusi. The Hall Master plans to use Wen Yusi as leverage to threaten Lin Luo into becoming his personal assassin, and the spy actually calls out Xiaomei for being so vicious. Lin Luo's mind flashes back to his previous life, where Bai Hongli murdered Sister Wen in the 3rd year of the disaster. In that life, Lin Luo pushed himself to the absolute limit to avenge her, risking everything to grow stronger. Unfortunately, Bai Hongli ended up dying to monsters before Lin Luo could get his revenge, so this time he has to kill him first. With his mind made up, Lin Luo orders Black Emperor to dispose of the body because this assassin knows too much. Black Emperor grabs the assassin without hesitation, and that's one loose end taken care of. Lin Luo asks Lord of Wishes how long he can guarantee the Baki Society won't harm Wen Yusi, and the answer is only 24 hours. 24 hours isn't much, which means Lin Luo needs to advance his class first before he has any confidence in taking down Bai Hongli. He has Lord of Wishes grant his protection wish and decides it's time to head to the 2nd level of the Secret Realm for a power boost. Lin Luo arrives at the Assassin Alliance Secret Realm entrance. Noting how deserted the area around the Advanced Realm is, He steps into the portal, wondering what awaits him and hoping everything goes smoothly. The portal energy swirls around him as he gets transported to the second level of the secret realm. On the other side, a distinguished silver-haired man greets him, introducing himself as Desmond Miles, the transformation instructor. Lin Luo recognizes the familiar NPC dialogue and politely asks the instructor to guide him on his advancement quest. The quest is simple. Go to the snowy plains and collect 30 snowman antlers plus 1 penguin king beak. The instructor warns him that the snowy plains are full of dangers and hopes he comes back alive, which is always reassuring. Lin Luo lands in the snowy plains and immediately notices the quality here is way higher than the warrior's second-level realm. And that's when something bursts out of the snow right beneath him, catching him slightly off guard. A massive black snowman emerges, level 20 and looking absolutely menacing as it towers over our protagonist. The monster's attack comes in fast, and Lin Luo is impressed that level 2 realm monsters can even sneak attack as he calls for Black Emperor. Black Emperor intercepts the blow just in time, blocking the snowman's massive fist with ease. Lin Luo spots the antlers on the monster's head and realizes that's exactly what he needs to collect. He orders Black Emperor to smash this thing, and his summon is more than happy to comply. Black Emperor unleashes a devastating barrage of attacks on the snowman monster. The black snowman gets sent flying across the frozen landscape from the sheer force of the impact. First snowman antler obtained, and Lin Luo confirms with Black Emperor that this is exactly what they're looking for. But then the ground starts rumbling as Lin Luo picks up the antler, which is never a good sign. An entire army of black snowmen emerges from the snow, surrounding them from all directions. Lin Luo notices these ones are white instead of black and wonders if they transformed or if it's a different variant. He reaches for his weapon and declares that the real battle starts now. Lin Luo draws his crimson blade while Black Emperor stands ready, both prepared to face the horde. He strategizes that these monsters aren't fast, so they should concentrate attacks and pick them off one by one for maximum antler farming efficiency. Lin Luo slashes through a white snowman with devastating precision, collecting another antler in the process. The duo stands surrounded by defeated snowmen, with fur and ice scattered everywhere. Black Emperor goes on the offensive, throwing a devastating punch at another incoming snowman. The white snowman takes a massive hit to its midsection, red energy slashing through its body. The monster lets out a pained roar as it struggles to stay standing after that devastating blow. Lin Luo calls for Black Emperor to take him up for an aerial assault on these oversized snow cones. Black Emperor grabs Lin Luo and launches them both into the air for a coordinated attack. Lin Luo comes down from above with his fist cocked back, ready to deliver another devastating hit. His attack connects and he slices straight through another white snowman, securing yet another antler drop. Lin Luo lands an earth-shattering blow that sends multiple snowmen stumbling and disoriented. He orders Black Emperor to take advantage of their dizziness and finish them off while they're stunned. Black Emperor powers up with dark energy swirling around him, ready to go absolutely ham on these monsters. He strikes a snowman directly in the face with devastating force, cracking right through its icy exterior. The white snowman collapses as another antler is added to the collection. Black Emperor continues his rampage, tearing through the snowmen like they're made of actual snow. Another snowman goes down with a hole punched straight through it, antlers flying everywhere. It becomes a full-on grinding montage as the duo massacres snowman after snowman, racking up antlers at an insane pace. Lin Luo checks his inventory and realizes he already has 37 antlers when he only needed 30. But these snowman monsters just keep coming endlessly, and Lin Luo starts wondering what exactly is causing this infinite spawn. And that's when the little penguin king reveals himself on an ice throne, sipping wine and taunting that he'll wear these puny humans out. This little guy is sitting on his ice throne, sipping wine like some kind of royalty while watching the chaos unfold. And then he commands all his black snowman spirits to return, like he's summoning an army back from the dead. Lin Luo feels something strange happening around him as energy starts shooting up from the ground. He catches some of that energy in his hand and immediately starts questioning what the heck this stuff actually is. Massive golden beams start erupting all around him like the whole battlefield just activated some kind of respawn point. The Penguin King is channeling a massive golden orb of power while sitting pretty on his throne like an absolute menace. He screams for his black snowman warriors to be reborn. And honestly, this little penguin has way too much power. Lin Luo finds himself surrounded by incoming ice projectiles from every direction with nowhere to run. The attacks crash against his barrier as he barely manages to deflect the incoming assault. Lin Luo watches as steam and cold mist swirl in front of him, obscuring his view of what's coming next. And then it hits him, the Penguin King's power is what keeps resurrecting these snowmen every time they die. He looks toward the mountain where more energy beams are shooting up and realizes the source of the problem. Now he finally understands why he couldn't kill these things no matter how many he took down. Lin Luo takes off running and yells for Black Emperor to follow him toward their real target. Black Emperor launches into the air and starts clearing a path through the snowmen blocking their way. Lin Luo grabs onto one of the Dark Knights while Black Emperor provides backup against the approaching horde. The Penguin King starts panicking and desperately calls for his snowmen to come save him immediately. Lin Luo tells Black Emperor to throw him straight to the mountaintop where the Penguin King is hiding, and Black Emperor absolutely yeets our protagonist through the air toward the terrified penguin boss. Lin Luo comes down from above with his sword ready, and the Penguin King is about to have a very bad day. His crimson blade tears straight through the ice throne and the Penguin King in one devastating strike. Mission complete, and Lin Luo walks away with the Penguin King's beak as his prize for that boss fight. The remaining snowmen start melting away, proving that capturing the leader first was absolutely the right call. Lin Luo returns to Desmond Miles with all the collected materials, and the instructor is thoroughly impressed. Desmond pulls out 3 cards representing the ordinary assassin professions but hints that Lin Luo might qualify for something better. Lin Luo confirms he came specifically for the hidden profession, but Desmond warns that failure has serious consequences. Desmond looks dead serious as he tells Lin Luo that attempting this might actually kill him, and asks if he's still willing. Lin Luo doesn't hesitate for a second and declares that even death is worth the risk for this job change. Desmond bursts out laughing and says Lin Luo is the first adventurer he's met with this much impulsive courage. Lin Luo thinks back to his past life where others managed to change to hidden professions, and he's determined to do the same. Desmond breaks the cards and warns Lin Luo that there's no way out now, no turning back from this point. Lin Luo gets sent straight into the void, where all the hidden professions apparently exist for the taking. Desmond's voice echoes through the dimension telling Lin Luo to feel free to choose whatever he wants. Lin Luo floats through the cosmic emptiness of the void, taking in this absolutely wild dimensional space. He reaches out his hand into the darkness, searching for whatever hidden professions might be waiting. Lin Luo looks around and wonders if this endless cosmic space is really the legendary void he's heard about. But here's the problem, there's absolutely nothing here, just empty space stretching in every direction. And then his foot touches something solid in this supposedly empty void, which definitely wasn't there before. A massive pillar of red light suddenly erupts right in front of him, illuminating the entire dimension. Lin Luo is caught completely off guard by this sudden appearance of what must be the hidden professions. Multiple pillars of different colors start appearing around him, and he immediately understands the system. He approaches the red pillar first to see what kind of profession it contains inside. So this is the outlaw profession that the Lord of Wishes recommended to him, with some solid stat bonuses. But Lin Luo isn't satisfied with just one option and immediately asks what's in the other 2 pillars. The blue pillar contains Shadowless, and in terms of both attributes and specialties, it's actually stronger than outlaw. Lin Luo pieces it together. The color of each light pillar represents the quality level of the profession, which means the golden light pillar should logically contain the highest quality profession available. He reaches toward the golden pillar with anticipation building for what's about to be revealed. Storm Swordmaster, and get this, it's actually labeled as a legendary profession with insane stat boosts. Lin Luo is absolutely stunned because he's never even heard of this level of profession existing in his past life. He starts thinking that if he gets this legendary profession, dealing with evil organizations would be nothing. But wait a minute, why did the Lord of Wishes hide this from him and only recommend the outlaw class? He summons the Lord of Wishes directly into the void, and the summon appears looking nervous as always. Lin Luo immediately confronts him about lying, and the Lord of Wishes goes completely silent at the accusation. The Lord of Wishes insists he would never dare to lie to his master about something this important. He explains that changing to outlaw is the most reliable and safest choice based on all his comprehensive research. Lin Luo raises an eyebrow at this safest choice. This presumptuous guy really thinks he knows best. The Lord of Wishes shows the stats. Storm Swordmaster has only 1% compatibility and 0.5% success rate. Lin Luo has to admit that yeah, those numbers are indeed way too low for any sane person to attempt. The Shadowless data comes up next, 22% compatibility and 9% success. Better but still risky. Lin Luo asks what the statistics are for the outlaw lawless profession that was originally recommended. 89% compatibility and 98% success rate. Okay, that does seem like the safest option. The Lord of Wishes confirms Lin Luo's judgment is correct and thanks him for understanding the recommendation. But Lin Luo hits him with the plot twist. Who told you he should choose the safest? He wants the highest return. The Lord of Wishes is absolutely stunned by this revelation and clearly wasn't expecting that response. Lin Luo grabs his summon and makes it clear, from now on just give pros and cons, don't make choices for him. He turns toward the golden pillar, leaving the Lord of Wishes watching with concern from behind. Lin Luo asks one more question. If the talent compatibility is only 1% but the transfer succeeds, does he get full power? The Lord of Wishes confirms yes, but warns that failure means mental weakness for 20 days at best, and death at worst. Lin Luo finishes the sentence for him. The worst result is death, right? And Lord of Wishes confirms. Lin Luo explains that being mentally weak for 20 days is basically death anyway, since he can't save Wen Yuxi in time. But here's the thing, when calculating success rate, the Lord of Wishes forgot to factor in one variable, himself. Lin Luo snaps his fingers and declares that he wants to make a wish, and the Lord of Wishes is ready to serve. He wishes for his job change to Storm Swordmaster to be successful, and walks straight into the golden light. The Lord of Wishes finally understands. His master wasn't taking risks blindly. He had a plan the whole time. The wish activates and the job transfer success rate jumps straight to 100% guaranteed. Lin Luo is engulfed in golden energy as the legendary job change process officially begins. Back in the real world, Desmond is absolutely shocked that Lin Luo actually chose the legendary profession from ancient times. He notes that even the strongest SSS-level talents might not succeed at this, but admits this is getting really exciting. And now we wait to see if our protagonist actually pulls off the impossible legendary class upgrade. Lin Luo sits meditating as visions of the ancient Storm Swordmaster appear before him in all their legendary glory. To obtain this ancient legacy, he must comprehend the true essence of storm and death itself. And our boy is determined to make this work no matter how impossible the odds seem. The vision continues showing the Swordmaster playing a flute atop a cliff, loyal to the wind and loyal to the sword, and above all else, loyal to the heart that guides the blade. Death often accompanies the Storm Swordmaster, yet he fears no death even when facing an entire army. Hold the sword in your heart, pull it out, and listen to the wind's hum. Because for the Storm Swordmaster, the wind is also a sword and the sword is also the wind. The sword of the storm grows fiercer with each slash, absolutely demolishing everything in its path. Only by facing death directly can one overcome all obstacles that stand in their way. This is the only hardcore hero among the assassins, the legendary Storm Swordmaster himself, and all of that ancient knowledge begins flowing directly into Lin Luo as the job change process continues. But then the Lord of Wishes appears looking exhausted, warning that his energy has been completely depleted. The Lord of Wishes fades away into slumber, leaving Lin Luo to finish this alone. Lin Luo reaches out as his body begins falling through the cosmic void, lightning crackling around him. He plummets through the endless space, the job change pushing his body to its absolute limits. Back in reality, Desmond watches as Lin Luo suddenly collapses right in front of him. Our protagonist hits the floor hard while Desmond stands there looking completely unsurprised. Lin Luo lies motionless on the expensive carpet, looking like he just got absolutely destroyed. Desmond starts gloating immediately, saying this is the price of Lin Luo's arrogant youth. But then a global announcement pops up declaring that the world's first second Transcendence professional has been born. Desmond shakes his head, saying if Lin Luo wasn't so greedy, that #1 title could have been his. But wait, Lin Luo coughs and Desmond is genuinely shocked that he's still conscious. Lin Luo pushes himself up with a smirk, asking how Desmond knew about the world's #1 and why it isn't him. Desmond's face goes pale as he realizes what Lin Luo is implying about successfully changing jobs. The cigarette slips from his fingers and falls to the carpet, still burning. Lin Luo casually pulls out an advanced stamina recovery potion and chugs it while Desmond watches in disbelief. Our protagonist stands up surrounded by glowing energy, looking absolutely refreshed and ready to go. Desmond practically screams at him, demanding to know exactly how he managed to succeed. Lin Luo just smiles and casually asks the Tower Master if he's feeling a little hot. Desmond looks down to find that his dropped cigarette has set his pants completely on fire. Desmond starts screaming and hopping around trying to put out the flames, while Lin Luo walks away without a care. Our boy doesn't even look back, saying he has absolutely no time to chat right now. Lin Luo walks through a portal knowing the Lord of Wishes is asleep and he needs to kill Bai Hongli immediately. He emerges outside to find it's already evening, the job change having taken a full 5 hours. His phone shows the time and he calculates he has only 19 hours left to kill Bai Hongli. He checks his messages and finds Qin Xiaomei inviting him to lunch tomorrow, which seems suspiciously convenient. Lin Luo smirks because his target is literally delivering themselves to him, but tomorrow noon is too late. Meanwhile, we cut to a bedroom where a certain black-haired beauty is getting cozy with Lord Tang. She tells him to ignore his phone, but Lord Tang notices Lin Luo actually replied to the invitation. Lin Luo changed the time and location to tonight at 10:30 at the beach in the eastern suburbs. Lord Tang immediately tells her to get dressed because they're leaving right now. Qin Xiaomei curses Lin Luo under her breath for always ruining her personal plans. Elsewhere, officials gather around a stone tablet warning that a rat-level catastrophe will occur in 24 hours. The senior official orders them to notify all countries immediately so they can prepare for whatever's coming. Meanwhile, Lin Luo sits alone on the beach under the moonlit sky, waiting for his prey to arrive. A curfew notice pops up on his phone, and he remembers this was triggered by a rat-level catastrophe in his past life. But something's wrong because in this timeline it's happening 5 days earlier than it should. He recalls that the first wave was an otherworldly insect disaster with monsters between levels 1 and 20. For ordinary people without powers, this insect disaster was absolutely deadly because it lasted 15 days straight. Lin Luo lies back remembering how in his past life he couldn't protect anyone and only held them back. But in this life, he finally has the power and ability to protect the people who matter to him. He starts laughing to himself, remembering how confused and lost he was in his younger days. A flashback shows young Lin Luo with Wen Yuxi's sister who taught him so many important things. She trained him to protect himself, and little Lin Luo swore he wanted to protect her too someday. The Wen family took him in during all the important moments of his life despite his brother stealing from them. Wen Yuxi was there to congratulate him when he finished his exams, always supporting him. She was there in all his important moments, always telling him to work hard and believe in himself. But when Wen Yuxi needed protection the most, Lin Luo wasn't there to save her. Bai Hongli did something unforgivable, and in this life Lin Luo swears he'll kill that man first. A luxury car speeds down the coastal road heading toward the beach where Lin Luo waits. Inside the car sits Qin Xiaomei looking annoyed, Lord Tang in the middle, and a driver in sunglasses. Lord Tang checks his phone with a serious expression as someone important is calling him. The caller addresses him by his real name, Kudu Zi, revealing he's actually from the Sakura Nation. Qin Xiaomei notices even someone as powerful as Lord Tang seems nervous about this phone call. The caller announces that Princess Yoshiko and Lord Miyamoto's engagement ceremony will be held next month. Lord Miyamoto has awakened with SS-level talent, making him their greatest hope and putting pressure on everyone else. Lord Tang grips his phone tight, furious that Miyamoto Musashi dares to take what he believes belongs to him. He sees internally that Princess Yoshiko and the future of the Baki society should both be his. He vows to ascend to SSS rank within a month, which means he needs a massive quantity of ascension crystals, and people like Lin Luo who have some ability will become his personal crystal miners whether they like it or not. He orders Qin Xiaomei to start monitoring Wen Yusi tomorrow, because controlling her means controlling Lin Lu completely. Lord Tang says he won't show up tonight himself, and Qin Xiaomei promises to bring Lin Lu into the Baki society. He tells her she's a clever girl and should use all of her skills to make this happen. So there's Lin Luo just chilling on the beach, waiting for his target to show up, when guess who decides to make an entrance? Qin Xiaomei, looking absolutely stunning by the way, is thinking she already handled Lord Tang, so surely Lin Luo will be easy. She comes running up to him all cheerful and bubbly, calling out Brother Luo like they're old friends. And then she literally launches herself at him, and the camera angle is doing some real heavy lifting here if you know what I mean. She lands right on top of him, and our boy Lin Luo is just sitting there looking completely unimpressed by this whole situation. She's playing up the whole helpless act, complaining that it hurts when you fall, but Lin Luo is not buying what she's selling. Because instead of getting flustered, our protagonist just coldly asks her one simple question: where is Bai Hongli? And that's when her whole demeanor shifts, because how in the world does this random guy know Lord Tang's real name? She tries to recover with the innocent act, asking what he's even talking about with those big pretty eyes, but Lin Luo gets right in her face and spells it out clearly: Bai Hongli, the lord of your precious Baki society. She admits she joined the Baki society but claims she's never actually met Lord Tang herself, only heard his name. Lin Luo just turns away saying he doesn't want to waste his time with her, and she desperately calls out for him to listen. She insists she really hasn't seen anyone named Bai Hongli, but this time she invited Lin Luo to join them. She starts listing all the benefits of joining the Baki society: resources, connections, money, the whole recruitment pitch. Meanwhile, someone calls asking why she's only reporting now, and Lin Luo casually announces he already killed her. The reaction on the other end, pure shock. Bai Hongli is on the phone looking genuinely caught off guard, asking if the person on the line is really Lin Luo. Lin Luo tells him to come out because he knows Bai Hongli is already there watching, and the call goes dead. Qin Xiaomei realizes Lin Luo knew everything from the start, and he confirms it with cold certainty. He knows everything. And then Bai Hongli himself walks out of the shadows, laughing and clapping like this is all some entertaining game to him. He praises Lin Luo as the extraordinary talent he identified, acting like he's impressed rather than threatened. Bai Hongli offers to let Lin Luo join his Baki society for great things, but our boy fires back asking about his plan to restore his country. That one lands hard. Bai Hongli's smug expression cracks, and he demands to know how Lin Luo could possibly know that. But instead of answering, Lin Luo summons his weapon with dark energy swirling around him, declaring that all of them deserve to die. And then the Black Emperor manifests behind him in all its terrifying glory, and this fight is officially on. The Black Emperor launches forward with devastating speed, the sheer force of the attack creating shockwaves everywhere. Multiple strikes rain down in rapid succession, each one carrying enough power to obliterate anything in its path. Bai Hongli panics and orders Princess Kaguya to retreat immediately without trying to resist the onslaught. But Princess Kaguya doesn't back down, meeting the Black Emperor head-on with her own devastating counterattack. The two stands clash with incredible intensity, trading blows that would level buildings if they were anywhere else. Lin Luo watches carefully and realizes she's actually keeping up with the Black Emperor's speed, and her defense is solid too. He acknowledges that she's definitely a good stand. But here's the thing, if the host dies, the stand becomes meaningless. Bai Hongli taunts him, saying Lin Luo can't even break through Princess Kaguya's defense, so how does he expect to win? Lin Luo realizes he can't hold back anymore and needs to take down his opponent as quickly as possible. Bai Hongli notices that while Princess Kaguya isn't injured, her energy is continuously decreasing, so switching forms could give him the edge. Both of them reach the exact same conclusion at the exact same moment. This has to be a swift battle. Bai Hongli commands Princess Kaguya to switch to her Rainy Night Blade form and go for the kill on Lin Luo's stand. But Lin Luo has his own counter ready, telling the Black Emperor that the next punch needs to hit the host directly, and a new figure appears saying yes master. The Black Emperor and Princess Kaguya clash in midair, their powers colliding in a spectacular explosion of energy. Bai Hongli realizes with horror that Lin Luo's target isn't the stand at all. Even if Princess Kaguya lands a hit, the Black Emperor will hit him too. He makes a split-second decision and screams at Princess Kaguya to forget defense and directly kill Lin Luo's original body. Princess Kaguya abandons her defensive position and rushes straight past the Black Emperor, blade aimed directly at Lin Luo. At the same moment, the Black Emperor's devastating fist connects with Bai Hongli in a brutal direct hit. The attack creates a massive vortex of destructive energy that engulfs Bai Hongli completely with no escape possible. Meanwhile, Princess Kaguya descends on Lin Luo from above, her blade ready to end him in one decisive strike. Bai Hongli laughs even while being pummeled, confident that fist could never compete with a long blade. Princess Kaguya's blade slashes down with killing intent, the attack coming faster than any normal person could possibly react to. But somehow Lin Luo dodges it completely, and Princess Kaguya is genuinely confused about how an ordinary person could have such reflexes. Bai Hongli admits through gritted teeth that Lin Luo is different, with quick reflexes and a powerful stand ability. Unfortunately for Bai Hongli, the Black Emperor is already looming over him, ready to deliver the finishing blow. Lin Luo delivers the final line with a cold smile. The strong live, and the weak die. That's just how this world works. And just like that, Bai Hongli is down, Lin Luo stands over his defeated enemy and finally says it. In this life, he avenged Sister Wen. But the revenge arc isn't over yet because now Lin Luo activates his S-level talent Plunder, ready to take everything Bai Hongli had. He figures his current innate abilities aren't strong enough on their own, so he needs more S-rank or higher talents to really dominate. The Plunder talent activates successfully, and congratulations are in order because Lin Luo just obtained the S-rank talent called Rainy Night. The system shows all the effects: rain shields against detection, weather manipulation at night, and attack speed boosts during rainy nights. And here's the real prize. Princess Hiyu, an absolutely gorgeous maid, stand with an umbrella, and those stats are seriously impressive. Her Blade of Rainy Night deals 200 additional true damage with no cooldown. She looks up at Lin Luo and calls him master. Lin Luo realizes that combining Rainy Night with Princess Hiyu creates a perfect balance of offense and defense that even surpasses the Black Emperor's attack speed. Now he's standing there with two stands. Princess Hiyu with intelligence of 30 can fight autonomously, while Black Emperor's intelligence is literally 1. Lin Luo welcomes his new stand, saying it'll be nice to collaborate, and Princess Hiyu promises to protect him with everything she has. Meanwhile, Bai Hongli's soul energy rises from his body, his reign as the Baki Society's leader finally coming to an end. Some soul orbs float up from the corpse, and Lin Luo wonders if he got any good equipment drops from this kill. Turns out it's a single draw from the Fate Roulette, and Lin Luo is hyped because this is perfect timing for consecutive draws. He tries to summon the Lord of Wishes, but nothing happens. Seems like the previous wishes consume too much energy and there's an overdraft situation. Princess Hiyu asks if they should head to the secret realm, but Lin Luo says no because he has somewhere more important to be. Meanwhile, somewhere else, a phone rings with no answer. The number you are calling cannot be connected right now. And here she is, Princess Keiko, looking absolutely beautiful in her kimono, wondering why Brother Hong's phone has never been unreachable before. A maid arrives to inform her that the elders have arranged for her meeting with Lord Musashi, and suddenly things make more sense. She thinks bitterly about how those old men are trying to force her to marry Musashi just to restore the country. She gazes out the window, wishing that Miyamoto Musashi had never come back from wherever he was. A flashback shows her happiest memories. The year she spent with Brother Hong in Huaxia was the happiest year of her entire life. She clutches her phone desperately, believing that if Brother Hong were here, he would definitely help her escape this arranged marriage. But the phone just keeps showing the same message. The number you are calling cannot be connected, and it never will again. After everything that went down, Lin Luo makes his way back under the cover of night to a very particular house. He's thinking about how Bai Hongli's death is definitely going to cause chaos in the Eightfold Serpent Society, but for now they're too busy investigating to bother anyone, which means Wen Yuxi should be safe, at least for the time being. And here comes Princess Hiyu with the real questions, asking if this Wen Yuxi is the woman Master likes, maybe even his girlfriend. Our boy immediately gets flustered, stuttering that no, she's not his girlfriend. Not yet anyway, and Princess Hiyu pounces on that like a cat on a laser pointer. She points out that Master stayed here all night and clearly this Wen Yuxi is very important to him, reading him like an open book. Lin Luo finally admits it outright, yes, she's very important to him, and he's not going to pretend otherwise. But before things can get too sentimental, two familiar voices call out to him, one calling him Little Luo and the other using his full name. And in that moment, Lin Luo makes a silent vow to himself. In this life, he will become stronger and protect everyone who matters, because the regrets of his past life will never repeat. With that resolve firmly in place, Lin Luo announces they're leaving, and Princess Hiyu tilts her head, asking where exactly they're headed. To the forest sanctuary, he declares, because if he wants to protect anyone, he needs to start leveling up seriously. And just like that, they arrive at the secret realm entrance where two guards are stationed at a massive crystalline portal structure. The guards try to warn him that this particular secret realm has a high danger level, requires level 30 minimum, and once you're in, there's no backing out. Lin Luo just smiles and produces his identification, blue flames flickering around a dark envelope as he presents his credentials. The moment the guards see the name Black Emperor on his profile, their entire demeanor changes because this is the guy who's been dominating global announcements. Suddenly all those warnings evaporate and the guards immediately give him clearance to enter. No further questions asked. Though one guard does lean in with some friendly advice, don't risk your life showing off for a girl, you only get 3 resurrections in there. As they walk through the portal, the guards shake their heads, muttering about how heroes always face difficulties for the sake of beauties. Inside the forest sanctuary, Princess Hiyu wastes absolutely no time, her blade carving through a slime monster way above her level and racking up over 1,000,000 experience points. She moves through the battlefield like a storm, every swing of her blade sending another monster to the Shadow Realm while looking absolutely flawless doing it. These ugly slime creatures with their creepy eyeball stalks don't stand a chance against her blade's true damage that ignores all defenses. Meanwhile, those guards are probably still back there wondering why anyone would bring a girl into a dangerous instance, completely missing the fact that she is the danger. And here's the best part. While his stands are doing all the heavy lifting, Linlu is literally just chilling in a chair, sipping a drink like this is a vacation. Princess Hiyu lands gracefully with her umbrella, still managing to look elegant even after obliterating an entire wave of monsters. She reports back to her master that all enemies in the area have been eliminated, ever the dutiful stand even covered in monster residue. Lin Lua simply nods with a satisfied smile because this grinding session is going exactly according to plan. Now here's the interesting part about this secret realm. The main mission is to help the elves protect their camp from external enemies, and the real prize here is the Divine Gift Stone Tree, which can actually restore stand energy similar to those super rare crystals everyone's fighting over. Princess Hiyu asks the obvious question. If they help protect the camp, will the elves give them the crystals as a reward? But Lin Lua remembers something from his past life, how some players discovered a different strategy by breaking through the elf defenses. He tells his stands they still need to wait, and Princess Hiyu innocently asks what exactly they're waiting for. Lin Lua's smile turns slightly devious as he explains, why settle for a small portion of the reward when you can monopolize all the resources? And right on cue, an explosion rocks the elf city walls as the monster invasion begins in earnest. An elf warrior screams for everyone to retreat as the defenses crumble. Exactly the chaos Lin Lua was waiting for. Lin Lua calls out to Princess Kaguya and announces that now it's finally their turn to make a move. From the darkness of a cave, waves of those ugly slime monsters pour out, their numbers seemingly endless. But wait, it gets worse. These things are starting to merge together, combining their mass into something much bigger. And now we've got a full-on boss monster, the leader of the Ugly Eights, level 35 with 100,000 HP and a devastating skill called Destruction Deathlight. The boss roars as its minions swarm around it, clearly ready to cause some serious destruction in this realm. Princess Hiyu doesn't hesitate, her blade slicing through the boss monster like it owes her money. Lin Lua is already at the Divine Gift Stone Tree harvesting crystals, laughing that there are even more here than he remembered from his past life. This absolutely infuriates the boss monster, who screams that a human dares to steal its food, and now they're asking for death. Lin Lua just casually plucks another crystal from the tree, completely unbothered by the giant angry monster. Time to bring out the big guns. Lin Lua calls upon the Lord of Wishes, who finally has enough energy to manifest properly. The Lord of Wishes awakens looking genuinely pleased, thanking his master for providing such abundant energy to work with. Now Lin Lua's got the full squad assembled. Black Emperor for raw power, Lord of Wishes for support, all ready to take down this boss. The Lord of Wishes grins and simply says, "As you wish." Before unleashing his power to grant Lin Lua's desire for victory, Black Emperor launches at the boss with fists blazing, shouting the iconic battle cry that every stand user knows. Lin Lua calls out commands. Princess Kaguya needs to switch to Rainy Night umbrella form and protect Black Emperor so he can go all out. She responds immediately, transforming her weapon as she moves to shield her teammate while somehow still looking gorgeous mid-battle. The umbrella form proves its worth immediately, blocking a devastating punch that would have crushed Black Emperor. The monster minions launch a barrage of spiked projectiles trying to overwhelm Lin Lua's forces, but Princess Kaguya and Black Emperor dance through the attacks together, their coordination absolutely flawless. The system notifications start flooding in. Princess Kaguya dealing 200 true damage, Black Emperor landing critical hits for 370 plus lifesteal absorbing nearly 30,000 HP. The boss is getting absolutely demolished, trying desperately to fight back against the relentless assault from Lin Lua's stands. Under the combined pressure, the leader of the Ugly Eights stumbles backward, clearly not expecting this level of firepower. But then the boss starts gathering energy, its entire body glowing as it prepares something catastrophic. A massive sphere of destructive energy forms above the monster's head, crackling with power that could vaporize anything in its path. Lin Lua's eyes go wide as he recognizes the attack. It's the Destruction Deathlight, and he screams for Kaguya to defend with everything she's got. Princess Kaguya plants herself between the beam and her team. Umbrella, fully deployed as a massive green laser, crashes against her defense. The impact creates a wall of smoke and debris, the sheer force of the attack threatening to overwhelm even her legendary defense. But when the smoke clears, there she is, still standing tall with Black Emperor safely behind her, not a scratch on either of them. Lin Luo quickly analyzes the situation. Kaguya's defense held, but her energy consumption was way too fast, and even Black Emperor is looking somewhat depleted. Good thing he grabbed all those crystals earlier, crushing them in his hand to instantly restore his stand's energy, while ordering Black Emperor to seize the cooldown window. Black Emperor surges forward, fully recharged, fists blazing with power as he unleashes another barrage of aura. The system goes absolutely crazy with notifications. Seize and plunder activating, stealing the Destruction Deathlight skill at 30% power, plus 150 attack and 86 agility. Black Emperor delivers the finishing blow, his fist crashing through the boss monster with devastating force. The boss shatters into particles and the victory screen explodes. 9.5 million experience points gained, more than enough to unlock his third sub-skill. Golden energy swirls around Lin Luo as he absorbs the massive amount of experience, his power growing even more ridiculous. The remaining slime monsters look absolutely terrified, cowering on the ground after watching their leader get completely destroyed. But one brave, or perhaps stupid, slime decides to rush at Lin Luo anyway, teeth bared in a desperate final attack, and that's where we'll leave things for now, with Lin Luo freshly powered up and clearly about to show this little slime why that was a terrible decision. Lin Luo decides it's time to test out his new sword technique, and suddenly 10,000 golden blades materialize around him. With a confident smirk, he takes control of every single blade, the golden energy swirling around his fingertips like it's nothing. He commands them all to assemble, and the swords respond instantly, converging into a devastating formation. Our protagonist lands gracefully as the attack completes, barely breaking a sweat from that display of power. He notes that his attack power has increased dramatically, and his combat effectiveness is now on par with his stands themselves. But here's the problem. Using that technique for even 1 second completely drains his entire mana bar, which is honestly tragic. He remembers that when mages advance, they can unlock mana regeneration or mana absorption skills to help with exactly this issue. For now though, he decides to save these amazing abilities for critical moments only, treating them like his ultimate trump cards. Speaking of resources, Lin Luo turns his attention back to the Divine Gift Stone tree to see how many crystal fragments he can still harvest. He launches another barrage of golden sword strikes at the tree, each one knocking loose more precious crystals. The tree practically explodes with multicolored crystal fragments, raining down like the world's most valuable confetti. Over 100 pieces in total, which Lin Luo calculates is equivalent to 5 SSS ranked super energy crystals. But this is also the drawback of leveling up too fast. Next time, there might not be as many crystal fragments available to harvest. Now for the exciting part, Lin Luo summons the Lord of Wishes because it's time for 10 consecutive draws on Fate's roulette. The Lord of Wishes materializes with his signature purple energy, greeting his dear master with that knowing smile. Lin Luo requests the same deal as last time, but the Lord of Wishes suggests adding a restriction to avoid wasting pulls on duplicate items. With the wish properly calibrated, Fate's roulette springs to life, guaranteeing S rank or higher items with no longevity pills allowed. The massive cosmic wheel spins in the sky above them, shooting out colorful beams as each prize is determined. First prize is absolutely insane, a legendary golden SS grade cooldown crystal that permanently reduces all talent cooldowns by half. Lin Luo immediately crushes the crystal in his fist, absorbing its power directly into his system. Golden energy wraps around him as he realizes this means he can now plunder 2 S-level or higher talents every single day. The other notable prize is an S-level magic crystal that increases intelligence by 10 points, which could be useful for his team. The Lord of Wishes suggests allocating the intelligence crystal to whoever needs it most among the stands. And here's where things get funny. The Lord of Wishes has 180 intelligence, Princess Kaguya has 30, and Black Emperor has exactly 1. Lin Luo asks the Lord of Wishes to explain exactly what the intelligence attribute even affects in practical terms. The Lord of Wishes explains that intelligence doesn't mean wisdom or cleverness, but rather reflects the speed of problem-solving abilities. Higher intelligence means faster learning and experience gain, which manifests in combat, communication, and various other aspects. The problem is that Black Emperor relies solely on brute force, and as monster levels increase, he's becoming relatively weaker. So it's clear now, Black Emperor is the one who needs this intelligence crystal the most to stay relevant in tougher battles. Lin Luo hands over the crystal to Black Emperor, telling his most powerful stand to take this gift. Black Emperor crushes the crystal in his gauntleted fist, the purple energy surging into his core. The power courses through him as his intelligence stat finally gets a much-needed upgrade from that embarrassing base of 1. His entire body pulses with newfound energy, the transformation enhancing not just his mind but his overall combat potential. Black Emperor emerges upgraded and grateful, vowing to sweep away all obstacles on behalf of his master. Lin Luo tells him he's grown up now and won't need direct control in future battles, trusting his improved judgment. Though Linlu notes that gaining experience this way still isn't as fast as directly plundering talents from others. He gives the remaining extreme crystals to the Lord of Wishes to increase his energy limit for locating the next S-level target. The Lord of Wishes absorbs them gratefully, green energy swirling as he prepares to fulfill his master's next request. Meanwhile, we cut to a completely different scene, a school building at night where something shady is clearly going down. A student named Yang Young gets absolutely launched through some equipment, coughing up blood from the impact. A blue-haired bully and his gang tell Yang Young to take it easy, claiming they'll leave him alone now that he awakened an A-level talent. But Yang Young isn't having it. His fists ignite with flames as he asks if they think this is too much after everything they did. He demands to know if they thought it was excessive when they slapped him before, or when they literally urinated on his head. But then Zhou's stand manifests, and it's some kind of tentacle monster that immediately grabs Yang Young mid-attack. Zhou reveals he was hiding his true power this whole time, and his stand is actually S-level, which he would have used to kill Yang Young long ago. Yang Young can't believe it. Among thousands of people, not everyone gets S-level talent, and yet this absolute scumbag of a bully has won. He screams in frustration, wondering if this is really a world where evil is more powerful than good. The tentacles tighten their grip as Yang Young struggles helplessly, his situation looking increasingly dire. But watching from the shadows is Lin Luo, who spots this scene and immediately thinks, perfect. Next plunder target locked. Zhou slaps Yang Young around mockingly, asking why he's not going crazy anymore now that the power difference is clear. His lackeys cheer him on, bragging that their brother Zhou has S-level talent and asking if Yang Young thought his A-level was impressive. The tentacles squeeze tighter as Zhou announces he'll use Yang Young to practice his green devil technique tonight. But then a voice interrupts. Someone asks what exactly is going on here so late at night. It's Teacher Chen, a pink-haired woman who steps in to scold them that having strong talent doesn't mean they can bully other students. Yang Young calls out to her desperately, but the tentacles are still wrapped around him too tightly to escape. The lackeys panic and alert Zhou that the teacher is here, but he tells them to calm down about it, since his power is already exposed anyway. Zhou decides he has nothing to worry about and his tentacles grab the teacher too. And okay, this is getting extremely sus because those tentacles are wrapping around Teacher Chen in a very concerning way. Zhou gets way too close and asks the teacher what exactly she thinks he wants to do, and this whole scene is giving federal investigation energy. The tentacles are now in places they absolutely should not be, and this has officially crossed into territory that needs immediate intervention. Teacher Chen struggles against the restraints, completely helpless against the S-level stand's grip. Yang Young screams for him to stop being a beast, but Zhou just laughs and says he'll deal with Yang after he's done having fun. And that's when purple energy slashes through the air, severing the tentacles and sending Teacher Chen falling to safety. Zhou whips around in shock, demanding to know who just interfered with his disgusting little scheme. His lackeys don't even get a chance to react before they're hit with devastating attacks, getting absolutely folded. Zhou powers up his tentacle stand to full, screaming at the newcomer to get out and stop pretending to be something they're not. A single footstep echoes as someone approaches from the darkness, completely unfazed by the display. And there's Lin Luo with that signature menacing grin, looking like he just found the perfect punching bag. He casually strolls in with Princess Kaguya by his side, asking if Zhou is just going around causing trouble everywhere. Zhou is confused because he knows there are no awakened ones above S-level at this school. So who the hell is this guy? Lin Luo snaps his fingers and calls out for the Lord of Prayers, not even bothering to answer the question. The Lord of Wishes manifests behind him and immediately grants him 30 seconds of complete invincibility. Zhou screams even louder now, absolutely losing it as he demands to know who the hell Lin Luo is. Lin Luo just smiles coldly and tells him it doesn't matter who he is, but Zhou should use the next 3 seconds to think about his last words. Zhou is absolutely losing it, screaming that he'll give Lin Luo 3 seconds to leave before he destroys everything in his path. But our boy Lin Luo doesn't even flinch, just casually calls out for Black Emperor to take action. And now Zhou is completely shook, screaming about just how many stands this guy actually has. Black Emperor unleashes a barrage of devastating blows, absolutely going full beatdown mode on those disgusting tentacles. But here's where it gets interesting. The tentacles actually manage to catch Black Emperor's fist mid-attack. Even Black Emperor seems surprised that this slimy thing is actually putting up some resistance. Zhou starts smirking like he's got the upper hand, calling out for Emerald Magician to devour everything. Lin Luo just grins and calls for Princess Kaguya, because why use one overpowered stand when you can use multiple? And Princess Kaguya comes in absolutely devastating, slicing through those tentacles while looking flawless doing it. The severed tentacle chunks splatter to the ground, and just like that, Zhou's big scary stand is in pieces. And now Zhou immediately flips the script, claiming he's actually the victim and that Yang Young bullied his brother first. Yang Young is absolutely not having it, screaming at Zhou to stop spouting complete nonsense. Lin Luo steps forward with menacing energy, telling Zhou to stop struggling because scum like him don't deserve mercy. Zhou desperately grabs onto Teacher Chen, begging her to save him because he's supposedly on track for a top university. Teacher Chen is completely stunned, not sure what to make of this whole chaotic situation. Princess Kaguya brings her blade down as Zhou tries to block, but there's no stopping what's coming. Teacher Chen screams in shock as Zhou gets absolutely folded right in front of her. Lin Lu walks toward the fallen Zhou, declaring that scum who abuse their power deserve to pay the ultimate price. And here's the real payoff. Lin Lu activates his plunder ability and successfully steals Zhou's S-rank talent. Lin Lu examines the green energy swirling around his hand, quietly thanking Zhou for the generous donation. Yang Yang approaches with his friend, asking if their savior could tell them his name. Lin Luo just smiles and gives them a simple answer, Black Emperor. With the situation handled, Lin Lu casually suggests they all go grab some late-night snacks like nothing even happened. Yang Yang watches them leave with stars in his eyes, declaring he'll become just like Black Emperor someday. Later, Lin Luo sits at a cafe contemplating his newly acquired talent and what it means for his arsenal. The system reveals it's called Perfect Fusion. It can merge any two existences together while keeping their individual traits, lasting 5 minutes. Lin Luo summons the Emerald Magician, his newly stolen tentacle stand, to test it out. He's genuinely impressed, noting it feels like having a dozen extra arms that can extend and contract at will. The stat screen shows 15 tentacles total, each with insane strength and a special defense bonus against magic attacks. No wonder Black Emperor's attacks weren't as effective, but with multiple attacks and spell resistance, it's still a solid addition. Lin Luo stretches and announces that the situation has been resolved, inviting everyone out for celebratory fried chicken. His entire stand squad materializes, and Princess Kaguya is absolutely thrilled because fried chicken is apparently her favorite. Lin Luo checks his phone to place the order, and the amount he's ordering is genuinely concerning. He tells Black Emperor to wait for it as the order processes, completely unbothered by the ridiculous quantity. The waitress reads back the order: 300 chicken rolls, 300 spicy burgers, 200 servings of beef, and 400 cups of cola. She nervously admits they don't have that much inventory, and Lin Luo just shrugs and says he'll take whatever they have. Here's the thing, Lin Luo remembers that in half a year there will be a global food shortage, so his space crystal needs stocking up. Princess Kaguya alerts him that the fog outside seems to be getting thicker, which is definitely not a good sign. Lin Luo's expression shifts as he senses something is very wrong with this sudden fog. He checks his phone and his face goes serious. It's a rat-level dimensional disaster, specifically an insect invasion. And when they say insects, they mean massive nightmare fuel spider monsters that are absolutely terrifying. A mother clutching her child screams for help as these monstrosities start swarming the area. She screams in pure terror as the creature gets closer, desperately trying to protect her kid. The giant spider looms over them with its massive fangs, and things are looking absolutely hopeless. The mother begs anyone to help, shielding her child as the monster prepares to strike. The spider's razor-sharp claw comes slashing down toward them at lethal speed. But Lin Luo appears just in time, standing between them and the monster like an absolute hero. He gives them a reassuring smile, completely unfazed by the giant creature behind him. Lin Luo turns to face the spider monster head-on, and it's clear who the real predator is here. He summons the Lord of Prayers and makes a wish to disperse all the white mist within 10 meters. A massive beam of energy tears through the fog, cutting through everything in its path. With the mist cleared, smaller spider creatures are revealed scuttling around in the aftermath. Lin Luo doesn't waste any time, unleashing his Gale Blade technique with devastating precision. He cleaves the giant spider clean in half, and the system rewards him with 640 experience points thanks to the disaster bonus. Lin Luo notes that while he won't get equipment drops, the fourfold experience multiplier during disasters makes this totally worth it. More giant flying insects appear overhead, because of course there's always more where that came from. Lin Luo calls out Black Emperor and Princess Kaguya, because it's time to grind some monsters and level up. Princess Kaguya and Black Emperor go absolutely ham, slicing through locusts and racking up massive experience gains. The scale of the invasion becomes clear as giant locusts swarm the entire city skyline. Someone watching comments that these things look like a fusion of aliens and mantises, and honestly that's pretty accurate. Two awakened ones note that while this disaster is catastrophic for normal people, for them it's a golden opportunity. One of the grotesque insects hovers menacingly, its compound eyes gleaming in the darkness. An elderly awakened one with his disciple asks about the fourfold experience point bonus everyone's talking about. His companion explains that normally the first player reaches the second stage 6 days after awakening, but someone triggered it early this time. The Elders team has assembled the strongest awakened ones they could find, planning to exploit this disaster for rapid leveling. A hand reaches out dramatically as they prepare to jump into action. The Elders team launches into battle, planning to see who can collect the most loot from this insect slaughter. Meanwhile, Lin Luo and his stands have absolutely decimated everything around them, surrounded by insect corpses. Lin Luo orders Black Emperor and Princess Kaguya to stay and guard while he handles some business. He heads back to the restaurant to collect his massive food order, because priorities matter even during an apocalypse. He warns the staff not to go outside and to wait for rescue, storing all their food supplies into his space crystal. He explains the insects are attracted to light, so they need to turn everything off and cover the windows after he leaves. Lin Luo reassures them to believe in Huaxia, because someone will definitely come to rescue them. But as he steps outside, his heart suddenly pounds with an ominous feeling he can't shake. Something feels deeply wrong, and he wonders if he missed something important in his calculations. And then it hits him by changing history with his rebirth. The disasters came earlier, which means Sister Wen might be in serious danger. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the city, a woman is about to become insect food as one of those nightmare monsters looms over her. But then an elderly master appears, invoking something called heavenly reverence, manifesting holiness, and summoning a massive spirit warrior. The spirit manifests fully, wielding a glowing staff and radiating enough power to make the air crackle. And just like that, the insect gets absolutely flattened by a dome of pure energy, crushed like it was nothing. But here's where things get sus, because Master Lu immediately asks this girl how she's gonna repay him for saving her life. Before she can answer though, a blade comes slicing through the air with an attack called Eyes of the Emperor, taking out another insect nearby. 3 newcomers drop in from the mist, and one of them in yellow robes casually offers to help Master Lu with his little rescue operation. Master Lu is not having it though, calling out the newcomer for basically trying to steal his save while the woman quietly slips away in the background. The purple-haired guy steps forward with a smirk, asking if he can at least use the monster's remains since it's already dead anyway. And then he activates his power, commanding the dead insect to rise again as a shadow creature under his control. Master Lu recognizes the ability immediately, an SS-rank talent called Shadow Monarch that lets you summon and control shadows of the dead. Meanwhile, our protagonist is tearing through the city at full speed, with insects getting sliced down in the distance behind him. The other group notices something moving fast through the chaos, clearly someone else who's figured out how to fight back. They observe that whoever this person is must have some kind of ability, because ordinary people definitely cannot predict disasters or fight their way out like that. The suit guy just watches silently, probably filing away that information for later. Lin Lu sprints across rooftops, thinking that according to the original timeline, Sister Wen should have survived this disaster safely. He reaches a door and starts banging on it desperately, saying as long as he can confirm they're safe, everything will be fine. A voice from inside asks if that's Yusi coming back, clearly expecting someone else entirely. The door opens to reveal a woman with blue hair who immediately recognizes him and says his name. Lin Lu asks where Sister Wen is, and she frantically explains that work hours ended but Yusi still hasn't returned. Plus there's no phone signal with all this mist outside. And that's when it hits him like a lightning bolt. Sister Wen didn't come back, which means something has definitely happened to her. He tells her not to worry, that he'll go find Sister Wen right now. But she absolutely cannot go outside or open any windows no matter what she hears. Lin Lu races back out into the nightmare, knowing that without awakened combat talents, encountering these insects is basically a death sentence for regular people. He plunges into the white mist, desperately hoping that Sister Wen is still safe out there somewhere. Black Emperor suddenly alerts him that there's someone nearby, and Lin Lu immediately changes direction. Black Emperor points to an injured woman lying on the ground, but Lin Lu's heart sinks because it's not Sister Wen. He assesses the situation quickly, realizing she's beyond saving, and tells Black Emperor they must find Sister Wen immediately. Lin Lu summons the Lord of Prayers and demands to know Wen Yusi's exact location right now. The Lord of Prayers' sacred book flips open, golden light exploding from its pages as it searches for her. Golden energy swirls around Lin Lu as the Lord of Prayers traces her location through the chaos of the disaster. With the coordinates locked in, Lin Lu clenches his fist and whispers for Yusi to wait for him. Across town, giant insects are swarming around a building where people are trapped inside, their glowing eyes peering through the windows. Inside, Sister Wen is huddled with a friend and some guy who keeps insisting the inspectors will definitely come rescue them. But then this guy completely snaps, ranting that it's the end of the world and everyone is gonna die, that no one can survive this. And the way he's looking at them right now is setting off every alarm bell in my head. Because suddenly he lunges at them, and the girls scream asking what the hell he thinks he's doing. He says they should enjoy life while they still can, which is absolutely not the vibe anyone asked for. This creep grabs at them, saying being locked up together waiting to die must be heaven's arrangement, and the red flags could not be more obvious. The girls fight back, calling him shameless and saying even if he was the last man on earth they wouldn't be interested in him. But he doesn't care about rejection, grabbing Sister Wen directly and getting aggressive with her. Her friend screams at him to let her go, trying desperately to intervene. He violently throws the friend aside, telling her to get out of here because this doesn't concern her. This absolute degenerate starts talking about being a virgin and wanting to die without regrets. And the Diddy vibes are off the charts right now. Sister Wen screams for him to let go of her, fighting back with everything she has. He slaps her across the face, getting more violent as she continues to resist him. Tears stream down her face as he pins her down, and this scene is genuinely hard to watch. But then the window absolutely explodes inward, glass shattering everywhere. She looks up in terror, realizing that bugs are now able to get inside through the broken window. Something crashes into the creep with devastating force, sending him flying with blood spraying everywhere. Sister Wen looks up in disbelief and barely manages to say his name, Lin Luo. Our protagonist is right there beside her, apologizing for being late to save her. The creep scrambles to his feet, panicking and screaming that the bugs are here now and they're all gonna die. Lin Luo's expression goes ice cold as purple flames ignite around him, calling out Black Emperor's name. Black Emperor materializes and immediately grabs this piece of garbage by the throat, lifting him off his feet. Lin Lu shields Sister Wen behind him and demands to know exactly what this scumbag was thinking of doing to her. The guy chokes and gasps, begging for someone to help him as Black Emperor's grip tightens. Lin Lu's eyes burn with fury as he roars at him to speak and confess what he did. The creep can barely get words out as Black Emperor squeezes harder, his face turning purple. Black Emperor releases him and the guy crumples to the floor, gasping for air. He immediately starts groveling, crying that he was wrong and hadn't actually done anything yet, begging to surrender. Lin Lua looks at him with cold contempt and asks why exactly he's still here. He gives the creep two choices, either get beaten to death right here right now, or go outside where he might still have a chance to survive. The guy thanks him profusely for sparing his life and says he'll definitely take his chances outside. But as the guy walks away, Lin Lue makes a wish to the Lord of Prayers that within 5 minutes 200 insects will surround this man. The Lord of Prayers confirms the wish has been granted with a simple "Okay, master." The creep runs outside cursing that Lin Lue broke the glass and now everyone can't survive, saying he knows a hiding place nearby. He doesn't even make it 10 steps before an insect tackles him to the ground. More insects swarm toward him from every direction, attracted by the wish Lin Luo made. His screams echo through the night as the insects tear him apart, and honestly he had it coming. Back inside, Lin Luo gently holds Sister Wen and tells her it's okay now that she's safe. She asks if he really let that guy go, and Lin Luo says there's no way he'd let anyone who harms the most important person to him get away. He explains that only by letting him die under the fangs of countless insects can that scum truly pay for his sins. Sister Wen looks up at him with the most beautiful grateful smile and simply says, "Lin Luo, thank you." But then Princess Kaguya appears out of nowhere and immediately asks if this is the girl who's going to become his girlfriend. Lin Luo completely panics, telling Kaguya to stop talking nonsense right now. Sister Wen turns to him curiously and asks if it's really nonsense, since he did just say she's the most important person to him. Kaguya presses further, asking if he likes her, and Lin Luo just stands there stammering with no idea how to answer that. Lin Luo starts stammering like a malfunctioning robot, trying desperately to deny any romantic feelings while looking absolutely guilty. And the awkward silence that follows is absolutely deafening as everyone just stares at him waiting for a real answer. But the romantic tension gets interrupted when Sister Wen spots her friend Wen Wen and immediately rushes to embrace her. She frantically asks if she's okay, and Wen Wen reassures her that she's fine, just dealing with a headache from the whole ordeal. But then Wen Wen spots Lin Lu and immediately goes into protective mode, calling him a pervert and clinging to Sister Wen. Sister Wen quickly calms her down and explains that Lin Luo is actually her friend and the one who saved both of them tonight. Wen Wen's attitude shifts immediately when she gets a better look at Lin Lu and notes that he's actually quite handsome for a friend. Our protagonist cuts the small talk short and reminds everyone that this place isn't safe. They need to move quickly. They make it to Sister Wen's home and she rings the doorbell, calling out for her mom to open up. The door swings open and her mother's face lights up with relief seeing her daughter safe and sound. Sister Wen completely breaks down and throws herself into her mother's arms, all the fear from tonight finally catching up to her. Once they're safely inside, Mother Wen asks about Wen Wen and Sister Wen explains they took her home first with Lin Lu's help. Mother Wen warmly thanks Lin Lu for everything he did tonight and our boy just scratches his head awkwardly accepting the gratitude. Sister Wen suddenly asks where her father is, and her mother explains that he's a public servant who got called to stay at the office tonight. Lin Lu's expression shifts immediately when he hears that, and you can practically see the gears turning in his head, because he remembers exactly where Uncle Wen works, the Hang City Office Center, which is right where a gate is supposed to open. He immediately announces he's going to Uncle's office right now, knowing the building lights will attract those insects with no barriers to stop them. He tells them not to worry and promises he'll definitely bring Uncle Wen back safely, because that's just what our protagonist does. Lin Lu arrives at the office center and immediately sees the aftermath of an insect attack. The place is absolutely wrecked. But then he senses something that makes him freeze. There's an oppressive energy in the air that shouldn't be here. He's thinking this pressure is way too intense for a normal rat-level disaster. Something much stronger is lurking nearby. And right on cue, something massive comes crashing through the building with devastating force. Lin Lu's eyes go wide as he recognizes it immediately. That's the insect hole guardian, a boss-tier monster. See, in E-level disasters, the monsters are usually levels 1 through 20, but near the insect hole itself, guardians can appear at much higher levels. Lin Lu recalls that in his previous life, authorities offered huge rewards for hunting these things, and this one has to be at least level 30. He honestly can't decide if running into this thing makes him incredibly lucky or incredibly unlucky, because that creature is absolutely massive. He decides the guardian can wait. Right now the priority is getting to Uncle Wen before something worse happens. Inside the building, office workers are running for their lives, screaming at each other to hurry as the insects close in. One worker barely makes it through a doorway with an insect right on his heels. It's absolute chaos in there. A hand desperately grips the door handle, slamming it shut just in time to keep the monster out. Uncle Wen and his coworker scramble to push a cabinet against the door, knowing that thin piece of metal won't hold for long. They manage to barricade the door, both of them breathing heavily as they wait to see if their makeshift defense will hold. The monster starts pounding on the door relentlessly, the metal bending with each impact as the two men watch in terror. They're trembling against the wall when they notice the window starting to crack and realize they might be surrounded. The glass explodes inward and both men scream, thinking this is the end for them. But then everything goes silent and the coworker nervously asks if the bug somehow stopped, wondering if maybe it's dead. A familiar voice calls out from outside asking if Uncle Wen is inside, and both men can hardly believe what they're hearing. They cautiously open the door and step out into the hallway, not quite processing what they're seeing, because there's Lin Lua standing casually on top of the defeated insect guardian, waving and saying long time no see like it's nothing. They make it outside the building, but Lin Lua's expression shifts, sensing that something else is happening across the city. A system notification appears announcing that Black Emperor has cleared the Sacred Forest secret realm in under 2 hours. Elsewhere, a man in a suit is absolutely furious because that was his target realm, and Black Emperor keeps stealing his achievements. Purple Hair questions how Black Emperor could solo clear level 30 to 35 realms. Wouldn't his energy be completely depleted by now? He explains that normal attack methods don't consume that much energy. Black Emperor just plays it smart and saves his power for emergencies. The suit man's eyes narrow as he suspects that Black Emperor might be like him, someone who came back from the future. A group of powerful Awakens stand together, discussing how the only drawback for SS-level users is that their stands require massive energy. The suit man turns to leave, saying time is running out, and he refuses to believe Black Emperor can clear every single realm. He declares that sooner or later he's going to have a proper showdown with this mysterious Black Emperor. Back at the Wen household, Uncle Wen is still processing what happened, and asks Lin Lua how he could possibly have such incredible power. Lin Lua simply explains that he awakened an S-level talent, which in this world is basically hitting the genetic lottery. Uncle Wen is shocked and shares that his own D-level strength talent just lets him climb 5 floors without getting tired, and his wife's C-level wisdom talent prevents memory loss. Sister Wen proudly flexes her A-level celestial sound talent, which makes her singing beautiful and can actually restore people's stamina. Mother Wen curiously asks Lin Lua exactly what talent he awakened, clearly wanting to know the details. Sister Wen quickly steps in and tells her mom not to pry into people's privacy like that, which is actually pretty considerate. Mother Wen backs off with a smile, acknowledging that Lin Lua has grown up and she shouldn't ask so many questions. But Lin Lua decides to share anyway, revealing his talent is called Heavenly Justice with powerful attack capabilities. Sister Wen's eyes light up and she immediately asks him to take her dungeon running sometime since she's too scared to go alone. Uncle Wen gets serious for a moment and tells Lin Luo that with global changes happening, someone like him could really make a place for himself in society. Lin Luo nods respectfully and promises Uncle Wen that he understands and will make the most of this opportunity. Uncle Wen stands up and offers Lin Luo their guest room for the night since he worked so hard saving everyone. Lin Luo hesitates, saying it might be inconvenient, but Sister Wen immediately insists there's no problem and drags him to show him the room. As they walk, Sister Wen muses that she never expected the boy from the orphanage would one day become their family's savior. Later that night, Lin Luo sits alone, reflecting on how different this life is. He actually saved both Sister Wen and Uncle Wen and is staying in their home. But as he dries off from a shower, he reminds himself he can't stay here forever because his brother is still waiting to be rescued. His top priority remains the same: enhance his strength and find the next S-level stand as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, somewhere else in the city, something sinister is stirring in the darkness with an ominous laugh. A man with glowing eyes declares he's gathering the fear and despair of all living beings to summon his stand, the Dread Demon King. Dark demonic energy erupts from his hands as the summoning begins, and this is giving serious villain origin story vibes. The Dread Demon King materializes in all its horrifying glory, commenting on what a fragrant smell fear makes. The man is absolutely ecstatic, laughing maniacally about finally obtaining his SS-level stand. The demon orders its new servant to go out and sacrifice the fear and despair of living beings, promising invincible power in return. But then a tiny voice calls out asking for Daddy, and standing there is his little daughter, who witnessed everything. The man snaps back to reality for just a moment, seeing his daughter standing there looking confused and scared. He kneels down and tells her to be a good girl, that Daddy's just going out to buy delicious food and she should wait patiently at home. And then he just walks out the door with the demon looming ominously behind his innocent daughter, which is genuinely unsettling. The little girl is left alone in the corner of her room, hugging her knees and quietly calling out for her daddy. Meanwhile, Lin Luo stands on a rooftop reviewing his progress, having already eliminated several Smiling Coffin members. He commands the Lord of Wishes to reveal the location of Hu Jinming, one of the remaining S-level stand users. The Lord of Prayers confirms the request with a simple "As you wish, master," ready to grant the information. Lin Luo's expression shifts into a confident smirk as he acknowledges the information with a simple "very well." And without hesitation, our boy leaps off the building like it's nothing, because when you're this powerful, stairs are optional. He lands dramatically and declares that the hunt officially begins, ready to track down his next target. Elsewhere, the Dread Demon King is absolutely demolishing everything in its path, and its user is gaining experience at an insane rate. Hu Jinming is laughing like a maniac, thrilled that his SS level stand lets him level up without even lifting a finger. He starts ranting about the woman who abandoned him and their child, vowing to make her regret it sooner or later. But the demon complains that its power is still too weak since these stand users aren't generating enough fear to satisfy its hunger. The demon explains that only the fear generated from human souls provides the most delicious sustenance it craves. It leans in close to its servant and whispers temptingly, asking if he doesn't desire to gain truly powerful strength. The man's eyes glow an eerie green as he completely surrenders to the demon's influence, answering yes, Lord, like a puppet. The demon's massive arm smashes through a building as it begins actively hunting for prey. A terrified couple huddles together in the rubble, the husband asking who this monster is as he tries to protect his wife. Hu Jinming asks his demon if scaring these people is enough to generate fear, and the demon confirms it can taste the delicious terror. The husband courageously steps forward with just a knife, declaring he'll fight this monster to protect his wife, but he doesn't stand a chance and gets cut down instantly, blood spraying as his wife screams in horror. The Dread Demon King savors the fear energy, confirming that human fear is indeed much higher quality than anything else. And Hu Jinming finally starts to realize that maybe he doesn't fully understand what kind of monster he actually summoned. The Dread Demon King is draining its victim dry, absorbing every last drop of fear energy like it's the most delicious meal it's ever had. The wife screams for it to stop, but the demon just laughs and demands more, completely ignoring her desperate pleas. And here's where Hu Jinming finally realizes he might have made a massive mistake, yelling at his own stand about how it was supposed to kill monsters. But the demon doesn't take criticism well and blasts him with demonic energy, because apparently SS level stands don't appreciate feedback. The demon explains that it was literally born from his desire for despair and fear, calling itself Calamity Incarnate and promising invincible power once it's fed enough. It tells him to drop the hypocritical kindness act and tosses the husband's body aside while the wife cries out in horror. And then the demon drops the most twisted ultimatum, telling Hu Jinming that he'll be the one responsible for killing this woman. Hu Jinming starts panicking, muttering no over and over as he realizes where this is going. The demon lets out a sinister laugh as it takes complete control of his body, and our man is now just a passenger in his own skin. Demonic energy explodes from Hu Jinming as he screams, completely losing himself to the possession. And when the energy settles, that twisted smile on his face tells you the real Hu Jinming isn't home anymore. His hand reaches down and picks up a knife from the ground, moving with terrifying purpose. He raises the blade high above the terrified woman, his body acting completely against his will. She begs him through tears to please spare her child, and this scene is genuinely heartbreaking. The knife comes down again and again as screams fill the air, and we don't need to see more to know what's happening. But then a blade of energy cuts through the chaos and someone has finally arrived to intervene. Our protagonist Lin Luo lands on the scene looking absolutely ready to throw down with this demonic nightmare. Hu Jinming turns with the bloody knife still in hand, the woman collapsed behind him, and all he can say is a surprised you. Lin Luo's eyes glow as the Black Emperor materializes behind him, and he gives the command to kill this beast. Black Emperor charges in with a battle cry, and we've got an SS level stand versus SS level stand showdown on our hands. The Dread Demon King catches the attack and actually sounds impressed, saying it didn't expect to encounter such a powerful stand. The demon comments on Lin Lu's intense emotions, wondering how delicious his despair would taste if he could be broken. It roars at Black Emperor to get away, pushing back against the assault with terrifying strength. The demon slams its massive foot down, creating shockwaves across the battlefield. It opens its monstrous jaws and declares that Lin Lu's fear must be absolutely delicious, hungry for a new victim. Lin Lu senses something behind him and immediately goes on alert. The demon tries to blitz him from behind, thinking it caught him off guard. But Lin Luo counters perfectly, catching the attack and holding his ground against the massive demon. Parts of the demon go flying as Lin Lu's counterattack lands clean, slicing through its body. Lin Luo admits that if it weren't for Princess Kaguya enhancing his reactions, he almost couldn't have responded in time to that speed. He calls out for Black Emperor to press the attack while the demon is off balance. Black Emperor delivers a devastating punch straight to the demon's face, and that impact is pure cinema. The demon staggers back, still declaring itself the mighty fearful Demon King even as it's getting rocked, but it recovers and counterattacks with a vengeance, roaring that they're seeking death by challenging it. Lin Lu commands Princess Kaguya to use Rainy Night Blade, bringing out his second stand for the combo attack, and Princess Kaguya responds with a confident yes, looking absolutely devastating in that maid outfit while charging into battle. The demon scoffs and dismisses them as mere ants, clearly underestimating what's coming. It roars for them to get out of its way and unleashes a massive attack, forcing Princess Kaguya to defend. The impact sends Princess Kaguya flying back into Lin Lu's arms, and even in combat she's giving peak waifu energy. The demon raises both fists and screams for Lin Luo to die, putting everything into this killing blow. But Lin Luo has one more card to play, calling out for his third stand, the Green Demon. Green tendrils wrap around the dread demon king's fist, and it's genuinely confused, asking what the heck this is. The green demon tightens its grip and completely restrains the demon, binding it in place so it can't move. Princess Kaguya seizes the opening and slashes right through, leaving the demon wondering why its protective magic isn't working. Linlua stands over the burning demon and asks if it really thought it was good at fighting, cause that was embarrassing. The demon refuses to accept defeat, screaming that it won't die and declaring itself the fear in all living beings. Linlua delivers the coldest line, telling it that if it comes back again, it's only worthy of kneeling at his feet. Our protagonist stands victorious with Black Emperor and Princess Kaguya flanking him, declaring that the demon was destined to be defeated from the start. Linlua hears screaming nearby and his expression turns serious, knowing there's still unfinished business. Hu Jinming is on the ground surrounded by blood, horrified and asking what he's done in complete disbelief. The reality hits him like a truck as he keeps repeating that he killed someone, his hands trembling against his chest. Linlua approaches and tells him that before he dies he should get his affairs in order. He asks if there are any last words, and Hu Jinming immediately starts pleading that he didn't mean for any of this to happen. Hu Jinming bows his head and insists he was controlled, that he never wanted to kill anyone. But Linlua explains that killing has consequences, and as long as he lives, his stand might cause trouble again. Hu Jinming goes still for a moment, then agrees that killing does have consequences, accepting his fate. He makes one final request about his daughter, asking Linlua to tell her that daddy went somewhere far away and will come back when she grows up. In a surprisingly emotional moment, Hu Jinming embraces Linlua, and this whole scene just hits different. Linlua makes a quiet promise that he'll take care of the man's daughter, showing that even hunters have hearts. Hu Jinming looks up with tears streaming down his face and manages a grateful thank you before the end. A system notification appears announcing that his S-level talent, Plunder, has activated, and Hu Jinming collapses. Linlua analyzes the situation, noting that defeating this guy required all three stands simultaneously, confirming it was at least SS level with the ability to control its owner. He decides to activate Plunder, and purple energy surges from his hand as the ability takes effect. Dark energy swirls around him as he declares that just because Hu Jinming couldn't tame this stand, doesn't mean he can't. The system confirms successful Plunder, congratulating him on obtaining the SS-level stand called Emotion Igniter. A detailed stat screen appears showing its abilities with huge range and fast cooldown, though Linlua wonders if just sensing emotions makes it seem a bit underwhelming. But then he realizes an SS-level talent definitely isn't that simple, and perhaps it can enhance other stands like Rainy Night does. Excited to test his theory, he calls out to summon his newly acquired stand and see what it can really do. A massive tornado of energy erupts into the sky, and whatever's coming is definitely making an entrance. But when the energy clears, all that's floating there is a single glowing egg, which is definitely not what anyone expected. Linlua catches the egg and stares at it in complete confusion, asking what the heck this thing is and where his demonic stand went. So remember that SS level stand Linlua just plundered? Yeah, instead of some terrifying demon, he got an egg. The system pulls up the stats, and honestly it's kind of pathetic, with literally every attribute at 0 except for maximum growth potential. But here's where it gets interesting, because apparently this stand doesn't have a fixed form, it needs the host to decide what it becomes. Our protagonist decides to test out the emotion sensing ability to see what he's working with here. And the moment he activates it, he's hit with a tidal wave of emotions from everyone in the city. Fear, desperation, panic, all of it flooding in at once. The sheer amount of information is overwhelming, and our boy is struggling to process it all. And just like that, the ability times out after only 5 seconds, which honestly might be a blessing in disguise. He realizes that only mages with high mental power could handle this without their brain turning to mush. Now he understands what happened. Hu Jinming chose fear as the primary emotion, which is why his stand became that uncontrollable demon. The fear demon's power is terrifying, but it's a double-edged sword, so he decides to wait and think of a better choice. But first, he made a promise to a dying man, so he summons Lord of Wishes to locate Hu Jinming's daughter. Meanwhile, a little girl sits alone in a dark room clutching her teddy bear, wondering why daddy hasn't come home. But then she hears knocking at the door, and suddenly there's hope in those little eyes. A voice tells her he's a friend of her dad, and she cautiously approaches the door. She opens it to find Linlua standing there, and our protagonist has never looked more out of his element. Fast forward, and they're having burgers together while she asks when her dad is coming back. Linlua tells her that her dad went to protect Hang City and asked him to take care of her, which is technically not a complete lie. Her face lights up with pure happiness as she declares she always knew her dad was amazing. Linlua asks if she's not afraid he could be lying, but she reveals her talent is emotion sensing, and she can feel only goodwill from him. And that actually catches our protagonist off guard, because this kid can literally sense when people are being genuine. She tells him with complete certainty that she believes he's really her dad's good friend. As she waves goodbye, Linlua makes a mental note to find her a good family once this chaos is over, because he owes her father that much. Walking through the night, he reflects on how the whole world is in chaos now, and concepts like justice or right and wrong feel meaningless. But Linlua isn't the type to let the world decide his fate. No, he will dominate his own destiny. He declares that he must become the king who creates the future for Huxia, and anyone who stands in his way will become bones beneath his feet. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to Lingian Temple, where a group has gathered above the sea of clouds. A man in a suit asks Lao Yu if this is where the wormhole guardian appears, and according to his previous life memories, killing it will help the crisis. But before they hunt anything, Lao Yu suggests their 5-person team needs a captain, and his tone makes it clear who he has in mind. The suit guy picks up on it immediately, pointing out that while their group could beat the other 3, Lao Yu himself is a question mark. Lao Yu narrows his eyes and admits he just can't figure this guy out. The suit guy explains that the Black Emperor has a head start, and internal fighting would only make things worse for everyone. Lao Yu questions if he's overestimating the Black Emperor, especially since he never even heard of this person in his previous life. He offers a deal if he helps kill the Black Emperor and regain the guy's abilities. That should prove he deserves to be captain. But the suit guy isn't interested, saying he'll take back his abilities from the Black Emperor without anyone's help. Still, they both agree they can't let the Black Emperor fully recover his power, otherwise controlling him won't be easy. The suit guy declares that after reaching the 2nd level he's going straight for the Black Emperor, then orders someone called Eagle to sense the area. Eagle activates his ability, and massive glowing eyes appear behind him as he scans the surroundings. He reports that within a kilometer, the strongest life form is a level 7 giant pincer mantis, which is disappointing. Lao Yu curses, realizing the calamity occurred ahead of schedule and the wormhole position has shifted from what he remembers. But while they're busy talking, Lin Lu has already found the real target, sprinting toward a massive concentration of dark energy. The system identifies it as the Void King Worm, level 34 with 1,000,000 health points and abilities that summon endless insect legions. Lin Lu analyzes that despite being D-level, this thing has 10 times the health of a level 35 monster leader, which explains why it took missiles to kill in his past life. But he also realizes that besides its size and summoning, it's not that powerful otherwise, making it the perfect target for Black Emperor's plunder ability. With that knowledge, he summons Princess Kaguya and Black Emperor, ready to farm this boss for everything it's worth. The stands respond with a resounding "Yes, Master," and the battle against the Monster King begins. But when Black Emperor attacks, the system delivers bad news. The Wormhole Guardian's body is covered in dimensional power, making stand abilities invalid. Lin Lu can't believe it. This oversized bug is actually playing dirty with dimensional hacks. A massive beam of energy shoots into the sky as the monster calls for reinforcements. Lin Lu hears something approaching from every direction, and it definitely doesn't sound friendly. A swarm of massive flying insects descends on him because of course the king worm brought its entire army. He's completely surrounded by these creatures, and even though they're low level, getting submerged by this many would be a problem. But then again, all these monsters are also a rich source of experience points waiting to be harvested. Our protagonist grins because the bigger the waves, the more valuable the fish, then calls for Kaguya and Black Emperor to get to work. Princess Kaguya tears through the swarm with graceful slashes, looking absolutely devastating while doing it. Black Emperor joins in with devastating punches, because sometimes the simplest solution is just hitting things really hard. The experience notifications start flooding in with an 800% bonus, and Lin Lu is basically printing levels at this point. Meanwhile, a news helicopter flies over the chaos-engulfed city with a reporter ready to broadcast whatever she finds. Reporter Yao Muxi announces that Hang City has been completely engulfed by the white mist, and she'll be recording from the front lines. Her cameraman spots something and points it out, a massive monster emerging from the clouds with what looks like someone fighting on top of it. She's absolutely stunned because most Awaken have low levels, so how could anyone possibly fight something that huge? She orders the pilot to get closer because she needs to capture this hero for all of China to witness. And there he is, Lin Lu is standing on top of the monster with Black Emperor and Kaguya beside him, looking like an absolute main character. But he notices a problem: there are too many insects, and his stand's energy consumption is getting dangerously high. He orders Black Emperor and Kaguya to replenish their energy and keep the insects from getting too close. Both stands acknowledge the order, ready to continue the onslaught while managing their resources. Even with the Shard of Divine Gift replenishing energy, Lin Lu realizes the Swift Sword Chi consumption is too high to sustain. But then the grind pays off as the system congratulates him on reaching level 24. Lin Lu grins because now he's got stat points to allocate, and this fight is about to get a lot more manageable. He pulls up the skill panel and puts points into agility because speed is always king in a swarm fight. Then he upgrades 10,000 Sword Salute, which is about to turn this insect problem into an insect solution. The upgraded skill now auto-generates sword chi every second and lets him recall thrown blades without any energy loss. Plus the level 24 dungeon bonus gives him a 67% power boost, which significantly increases his combat power. With his newly upgraded abilities, Lin Luo declares it's time to fight these monsters to the death. He rallies Black Emperor and Kaguya, ordering them to go all out against the swarm. The trio launches into a coordinated assault, cutting through insects like their farming experience in a mobile game. They dive down toward the massive worm because the minions can wait. It's time to hunt the king insect itself. And that's where we leave off, with our protagonist and his stands descending on the boss while the whole nation watches from their screens.